Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Crash Content Podcast. Today, we're going to have a little bit more of just a laid back, unstructured episode. Everyone's been a little busy. We just want to talk about things we've been up to recently, things we've been watching, current events, and anything interesting that make a good story, possibly. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Fuck if I know if anybody else is going to talk about. But I got my tea here, and let's just have a good time.
Okay, first things first.
Who's
got a drink with them? I got a Snapple kiwi strawberry. You got tea. What else? What does everyone else got?
Oh yeah, I got tea with milk and honey. Oolong tea, best tea.
Coffee, just generic coffee, black coffee, best coffee. Go to the gas station, get the burnt coffee that's been there for 12 hours, and it's delicious. It's amazing. Although this isn't the gas station coffee, I just always have to shout out gas station coffee because it's underrated. It's just the most underrated thing ever. Like when you've been driving for a bunch of hours and you just pull into that gas station and there's that pot of coffee that's just like a metal pot, and it's kind of burned on the bottom, kind of dirty because they don't wash it that well. And you pour it in your cup. It's that coffee's always amazing, except for the kind of times when it's not. But it's actually more often good than it's bad. So go to the gas station, get the generic coffee. Don't add anything to it. No sugar, no cream. It's the best.
All right.
Cool. Frigin, what are you
else drinking anything? You gotta hydrate, guys.
Before we started recording, I had a big old glass of skim milk.
Come on, you gotta drink whole milk.
Switch to whole recently because I actually read a bunch of stuff about milk, and it's like if you're not trying to cut calories, whole's probably got a better ratio of fat to sugar. So it's
yeah.
But I mean, if you just want to if you're already drinking milk and you want to have a lower calorie diet, skim's probably fine. But if you don't have a caloric concern and you're just want to drink milk, whole's probably fine. That was my takeaway.
Raw milk.
I just read. I read a bunch of articles to figure out what kind of milk I should get. And I was like, whole's probably good for me.
I don't know. Whole milk tastes like coffee creamer now after drinking skim for so long.
Yeah, I can see that. But then skim tastes like water.
Well, no, I drank skim for most of my life, and then I was so when I switched back, I had that feel. But then after a week or two of drinking whole, I was
you get acclimated to it.
It's the normal. Yeah. And same with skim. If you go back to skim, it will take a week until you're used to it again. And yeah.
All my homies lactose tolerant. Okay.
It's the milk adaptation period. About a week.
By the way, I am son of Marowak. The rest of you gentlemen.
Hey guys, it's Frigin. What's up?
It doesn't matter who I am. I'm not even gonna we're just people. We're talking, okay?
WarMagic here? Question mark.
Yes.
Okay. So, Frigin, what you been up to? What's been going on?
So as far as content we've been crashing into recently, so I've been watching a couple of very interesting videos by this one particular YouTuber. So for a bit of background, do you guys remember back around 2016 where YouTube went to shit with the commentary wars?
No.
The mega drama everything none of you got into that with Keemstar and H3H3 and all those different commentary channels. Just
that's still going
stirring
on
up
now.
Drama. I know, but
I
when it was
no idea what we're talking
really
about.
big. So there was a period back around 2016 where a bunch of channels that would just they just put out CS:GO footage and just talk about whatever the hell. They ended up starting feuds with each other and getting into huge online fights and trying to expose each other and get each other their sponsors pulled and stuff and making big exposés on each other. And it was just a huge shit show and a lot of fun from the outside of watching these lunatics. It was pretty much just like those cheesy tabloids you see at the supermarket, but with YouTubers. And there were a bunch of big names in there. One of them that was not a big name. He sort of joined in late and was he was the generic brand imitation of all the others. Was this dude called Pyro Cynical, and his content was shit, and nobody cared, except especially recently, for whatever reason, he started shifting away from, oh, I'm gonna make a video every single day where I just have like gameplay footage and I talk trash about other YouTubers, to like he has evolved into like maybe about once or twice a year he drops like an hour-long like god tier like deep analysis video of like some movie or game or like ARG or something like that. Like they're few and far between, but like it's like a 180 turn from like literally like filler shit videos every day to like incredible stuff. His first one, it came out of like because he wasn't known for this sort of video at first. So about like a year and a half ago, he dropped a video that was like an hour and 15 long about Petscop, which was like this like fake video game YouTube series that was like is like very ARG, like horror mystery, like think like Marble Hornets, except if the entire thing was set within like a fake PS1 game. Does anything I'm saying make any sort of sense to any of you?
No.
I heard Marble Hornets, and that's all. I was like, oh, I remember that, but then I don't know. The drama stuff I've only heard secondhand because of like Digi when she talked about it, but like I never actually like participated in any of that stuff.
It was fun at the time. It got stale after a while, and everyone sort of like left, and that whole scene is mostly dead. I only care about this one particular guy now because like he does these analysis videos, and they're crazy. So he started with this. It was like a fake video game that this dude made a whole YouTube series of like 20 of them, and it's this fake video game that was like, oh, it was supposedly never released, and here it is, and I'm playing it and talking
Reed
about
Island.
it. Everything's like really like spooky and shit. Like imagine like a YouTube playlist of like Pokemon Black, and there's like skulls on the cartridge or whatever, and it's like all like evil and stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, he goes to Lavender Town and he actually kills himself. And then if you're playing it, then you kill yourself in real life. Ooh, like it was that sort of YouTube, but it was like that. It's like yeah, a little bit creepypasta-ish, except this YouTube series was actually like it wasn't cheesy and it was really well done. And the whole thing was a big metaphor for this. Like back in the 90s or something, there was this kid who was killed by
back in the 90s, I was in a very famous TV
child
show.
murder. Like a kid was killed by these unlicensed therapists who like suffocated her to death, trying to like simulate being back in the womb. And the game's like a whole metaphor for that. And if you didn't know that, then I mean, like if I had watched it, I wouldn't have known anything about that because I don't know about like niche historical stuff like that. But this YouTuber Pyro, he went and he did like an hour and a half long analysis where he like goes through the whole YouTube series and he talks about it. And he points out all the little like he summarizes what's going on, but more importantly, he like deep detail into like, oh, well, this is a metaphor for this, and this is they're talking about this. And here's the historical context for this thing. And this is this little detail you probably wouldn't have noticed, but it was really clever. They put in there and it was really good. And everyone was like clamoring for more. So like almost a year later, he does another one on this like old, very like not very well known like horror movie, The Cube, which is just about a bunch of people who are trapped in like a cube. It's just a bunch of like square rooms, and each one has like some sort of saw trap in it, and they're trying to like find their way out of it. But the whole thing's sort of like a character study on the different people, and like, oh, if you put a bunch of people in this situation, like which ones are like this guy turns evil, and you can tell because his personality, like he seems like he's good at first, but he's really being selfish and he's out for himself. And when the opportunity presents itself, he starts killing people off, and this guy who seems like sort of like a loser nerd who is just trying to survive, but he ends up being the hero. So the whole time he's doing like he's reviewing the movie, but also doing like really deep meta analysis of it, and it's super fascinating stuff.
Wait, so you're saying that this cube thing was not already psychoanalyzing the characters, instead he was?
Well, the movie was about that, but for the people who like, I had never seen the movie before, so he like summarizes the entire movie while also like explaining all of like, essentially, this almost felt like going back to like film class, like film appreciation class when I was in college, where like he just sort of breaks down, okay, here's like all the like these are all like the messages in the movie, and like this is what it's about, and it's super. And like here's the little details that like really add to it and make it feel like art. And he's able to, and he does a really great breakdown. And in the same video, he also does a breakdown of the sequel, which was like a shitty $20 cash grab, like marketing device that was straight to DVD, and it was god awful. And he also breaks down why was it god awful? Why did it not understand the points and the themes of the original? Why does it screw up? Why is there time travel in it now all of a sudden? Like, so he goes in and he like breaks down this movie, and it was very fascinating stuff. And again, like I came out of this like I had never even heard of this movie before, but I watched it. I'm like, I kind of want to watch this movie, especially for the context of what he'd talked about, because it was like it sounded like super fascinating. But then like so this was just like super deep like meta analysis.
So was it the cube too, or was it like the rectangular prism? What was the name?
I think it was called
sequel?
Hypercube because it was 4-dimensional.
Hyper.
See, there we go. I was like, I get the time travel now. They had to go with the pun. See, they were thinking along my lines.
Because pun.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Hypercube. I get it.
And a lot of his complaints were, and a lot of his complaints were with the second movie were stuff like, well, the first movie, like they don't show you like who built the cube, why it's there, what is its purpose, who put them in this place. Like the entire movie takes place inside of a bunch of square rooms. And the second movie, they like, oh, well, here's the literal opening of the movie is them like kidnapping people off the street and then drugging them and knocking them unconscious and putting them in the box. And they're like, he's like, well, that takes away all the mystery. Like, so it's that kind of analysis.
I feel like if you're going to make a sequel, you should I don't think like I think a first movie makes sense to have it as the memory, but if you do have a sequel, I actually think it does make sense to do a reveal and like, okay, and like people are always going to be disappointed with something like that because
believe me, this was not the sort of movie that's supposed to get a sequel. Like the first one was like an art house type film, and then the second one was just like weird tacked on. Like the other episode, we watched Parasite, and that was really good. Can you imagine if they made Parasite 2? Like what a god awful mess that would be.
Well, I mean, aren't they doing that?
Are they?
We were talking about it on the episode that they're doing a show
series.
Yeah, and I bet it's going to be a god awful mess.
Yeah, it'll probably be bad.
I finished listening
but it's also
to the
like
entire
under,
song.
The original director's got like a thumb in it, so
like
it might not be as bad as.
Still, I'm like, I could see maybe if it was like a remake, like taking it and extending it out in like a long form TV show, like the same story. But if it was just like, oh, it's just a direct sequel to the events of like a second movie that's a sequel to the first movie.
No, wait, I was wrong. It wasn't a sequel. It was like an in between the movie kind of thing. It's like events that were happening in between the beginning. And
okay, yeah, that's a little different. I'm talking like a hard
never mind,
sequel. How awful that would be.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
sort of like
because it like the point of like one of like those kinds of art house films are that they tell a single story with a point. It's not that they're trying to make a universe for you to be in, like you might be interested in the universe, but the point isn't to create a universe that you can get invested in. The point is to tell a story and with these characters, and it's just this one-time thing because anything else would just be too much. Like there's no point.
Precisely, and that was one of his points in the analysis video. He's like, this is not the sort of movie that you're supposed to get a sequel to. Like, and they made it anyway because they just wanted to like make a movie with the same name because the first one did really good. What if we make a second one? That'll be even better. No, it wasn't.
Honestly, I think you can kind of make that argument for a majority of movies that have sequels because I feel like a lot of the time when you make a sequel, it's just like a cash grab. You don't do it with purpose. So I think you can make that argument with a lot of movies. Like Terminator, for example, is a movie that you can watch by itself, and it creates this universe that you can become invested in. By the end of the movie, you're left with the questions like, what's going to happen now, and where is she going to go next? And then they actually answer that in the sequel. Rocky is another.
I feel like there's a lot of franchises where the sequels aren't as good, but they're fine. Like, for example, The Matrix. Like, The Matrix is really good. Matrix 2 and 3, not quite as good, but they're still like good, fun movies in their own right.
There's still like scenes I remember from like Matrix Reloaded, like that highway chase scene. That's like
yeah,
still,
of course. Like it's
I
like,
love that. That whole sequence is amazing. I love that. Like that whole
I wouldn't
highway
call
chase.
that a bad sequel. The way that like I'm trying to think of a good example off the top of my head where the second one was just like a very obvious awful cash grab, and it came out and everyone hated it.
Most Disney sequels.
Yeah, it's okay. Disney sequel. So this was like an artsy version of the Disney sequels going on here, Cube and Cube Tubes. And he breaks it down. And the reason I bring this whole thing up is because just a few days ago, he dropped another analysis video for the first time in like 10 months. And it was about this movie called The Platform. It was a Spanish film about a bunch of people who are locked in a prison tower that there's a platform of food that gets lowered down every single day. And that's the only food in the whole prison. And it's like 200 something floors. So by the time you get down to the first like 30, there's no food left. And every month or so, they take everybody and shuffle up who's on what floors. So,
ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's and I don't. If you watch this analysis, I don't want to go too much into the plot of any of these movies because he does that in his videos, and these are all super duper. Let me put them in the chat real quick. All three of these are good. Ignore the thumbnails. He puts Paul Brothers in them just so people click on him because
it's meta. It's meta.
It is meta. But he's actually photoshopping them like into the movie, so that's kind of funny. But
that's great. Take advantage.
He was a
of your,
commentary channel. He still
competition.
does that from time to time. But yeah, like he went from like popcorn daily bullshit content to like deep dive film analysis, and it's super. And he's really good at it. Like everyone loves these videos, and they're so good. But this platform movie is super interesting. And like I said, he runs through the whole movie, but he's talked a lot about like, oh, the symbolism of this and this and this. And like it's the whole thing's like a critique on capitalism and the people at the top and the people at the bottom. And there's a scene in the movie where the guy threatens to like literally take a crap on the food on the people below him unless they like give some food to the people below them. Like he's trying to like force the system where they like ration the food and people aren't starving. And it doesn't work. There's a fair bit of cannibalism in this movie.
Kind of like Elysium. That's another one of those movies where it's like, class status.
Yeah, but this was like done well. This was not like
choose not to.
Dumb. Like, what did you guys think of Elysium? Did anyone like that movie?
I gotta remember what that is. Hang on a minute.
Meh.
I don't think I've seen it.
The guy who did
It was like I didn't hate
9
it. It was okay.
Chappie. Matt Damon was a cyborg.
No, I did not see this.
Ugh. It was again like what the heck's the guy's name who did those
Wait, no, I think I had. Wait, isn't this the one where like in the beginning he's like working in the factory and he gets injured?
Yep.
Yeah, that one. And then
I
they make
fucking
him a cyborg.
hated this movie.
That movie was so bad. This movie he doesn't hear the platform is like, what if that, but also good, but also not cyborgs. like the metaphors and the message are the same, but different setting, better setting.
I was not
thinking about
as
this movie the other
hardcore
day.
hate on that movie. I was more like meh.
Yeah, it's movie. And it's so disappointing because like
it could have been a lot better.
He's only done the 2 other films, and those were both amazing.
Yeah, because my roommates watched District 9 the other day, and it made me think about this movie. And the first thing that came to mind was just like literally we're talking about just like class difference and how he starts in the slums and like people like with like cyborg bodies or like a higher status and like all this shit.
Well, I mean, anytime he's doing social commentary, like he's from South Africa, so yeah, they decided to wait a while to end segregation. So obviously, everyone there's got it's a bit fresher in the mind for them. So yeah, I feel bad because I can't remember the dude's name who did all those movies, but the
director is Neil Blomkamp.
Yeah, him, that dude.
Blomkamp.
District 9, great movie. Chappie, way better than I thought it was going to be.
I remember seeing Chappie. Like, I very barely remember seeing it, and I know what it's about, but I barely remember my opinion of it. Like I think I remember not caring for it too much. I thought like the premise was fucking cool, but then the execution, it just turned into like some kind of like heist film or something. And it's like, why did it go down this way? Am I right?
I think the thing is the movie's a little bit goofier than you would expect it to be.
Yeah, that was a thing.
That's
Like it's I like it for that though. Like it's not as serious, which good for him for doing that.
I hate when like a premise is really
To
good
see it again.
and then it just goes in a direction you're like, oh, why this direction? But like it was so like at the beginning you're just like so pumped up because the premise is really cool, and then like and then it sort of starts veering and you're like, oh no, oh man, this is like
remember In Time, that movie where they had the clock on their arms?
Nope.
Do I remember that?
Justin Timberlake starring in there?
Yeah, that one, yeah.
Yeah, when you run out of time on your clock,
Yeah.
you die. And and they use time as money.
Yeah, that
Which,
was actually really cool.
metaphor, but yeah, like it was an interesting setup, but then it just kind of turned into like Bonnie and Clyde, and I'm like, this is not what I expected this movie to turn out to be. But
I mean,
whatever.
when you really think about it, the themes at the beginning kind of carried it to that sort of way because it was all about money and time and high class versus low class.
Yeah, I think In Time and Elysium kind of both share in that like they're too obvious. Like it's like, oh well, the rich people live way up here and the poor people live way down. Like they overdo it, and we're like, yes, we get it, we understand. Like tone it down like maybe 1 or 2 notches, and you get a really good movie. But like if it's too blatant and too in your face with the social commentary, like it's a balance. You have to strike a balance. And I guess getting back to what I was talking about, this movie here that he reviews, the platform, does it really where like you could watch the movie and not even think about like, oh, it's a metaphor for capitalism and who has all the wealth and the people on the top and the bottom and it's all random and blah blah blah. Like you could just watch it and it would be a perfectly good movie about like people locked in a weird prison. But if you feel like analyzing it, there's a lot to sort of stew on, think about.
What was the name of this movie?
But so the third movie was The Platform. It's a Spanish film that's apparently on Netflix right now. And like I said, this guy Pyrocynical, he did a fantastic review of this movie, like so good. Like the review is as long as the movie is, but he also breaks down like all sorts of symbolism all the way, and he even like looks up the names of the characters for like what country of origin are they from, and like what are some potential meanings in the names and stuff. Like he dives really deep in like every little bit of this movie and like breaks it down, and it's super fascinating.
Yeah, this is like a brand new movie. This came out last year.
Yeah. So anyway, I would definitely recommend watching. I posted them in the chat. I got the 3 reviews, and all 3 of them are great watches. And I would watch this guy's videos unless you don't want to get spoiled. In which case, I'd say watch the actual movie and then go watch his review, I guess. But
yeah,
either way, these 3 specific videos are really good and worth your time. And I'll let you guys know if he ever does any more of these in the future, because they're like, it's from the unlikeliest person on YouTube I can think of to do like super like heavy film analysis. They're really good and super interesting the way he breaks them down. So yeah, that was my thing. I've been kind of watching and checking out this week is these. So who's next?
Well, I suppose that would be me. Well,
what
not really sure. Not really sure what I've been up to lately. This is just a continuing thread of Kyrie complaining about work and having bills to pay, whereas before he was complaining about being a NEET. So things never change. But yeah, I haven't been playing a lot of video games recently. You know, I haven't played Mountain Blade in 4 months or so, probably. Just kind of fall off.
What a fake fan.
I know, right? There's been a lot of updates though, but that's besides the point. What I can say though is that at my time at work, just standing around doing repetitive tasks, I do have the opportunity to listen to some things on my phone, which means I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks and a lot of just music in general. Music, not that important. I don't know. I'd just be like naming bands. But for the audiobooks, I recently just got finished with this long series of lectures from, I think they were conducted in 1902 in Edinburgh, Scotland, or not, well, maybe it was at the time, and by William James, I think, and it's called The Varieties of Religious Experience. And it's like 20 lectures basically going through and trying to like rationally describe, or fuck, what's the word? Empirically define like the varieties of religious experience that people have around the world, and like the commonalities and what this might mean for just religion in general and how it operates and everything. And it was superbly fascinating. Just and the kind of like conclusion at the end of it, which was like super wishy-washy, to be quite honest, but essentially that just like there is an like implicit behavior in people to try to not define but like reconcile the existence of themselves to like the rest of the world, or just everything that is like not them. And this causes people to have these like very like profound psychological transformations. Like people's characters can do like a 180 based on them like surrendering their like own control over their life to just like whatever happens, or to a certain set of like virtues. And there's like commonalities between these virtues, which is like the saintly characteristic of like charity and like giving up all possessions and like trying to have like loving compassion for people, and asceticism, and how this is like common in a lot of different places and where that may come from. And that maybe God exists, but that depends on how you define that word, essentially. And that most importantly, that like the impact that these experiences have on people and how they actually like fundamentally act in the world, and how that changes the results of things and the causes of things through the changes in the psyche that these things impose on people, that religion is real and is important, I suppose, was the conclusion to it all. And it's been like over the course of like the last few weeks that we're listening to this, and it's been, I don't know, it was like fucking 30 hours long, so I'm condensing a lot here.
Out of stupid curiosity, who's reading it?
Huh? Oh, let's see. I could look up it for you right now. It's also interestingly like impacted the way that like my inner monologue functions, or like the way that I write in prose, because this is from like lectures in 1902. So the wording and phrasing is like super like drawn out and like kind of haughty. No, like haughty to like our modern sensibilities. And like the phrase modern sensibilities even being like slightly to that. But let's see.
That's kind of why I wanted to ask, because it obviously wasn't read by the people of the time.
Oh yeah, no. It's narrated by John Pruden.
Interesting.
Yes, I wouldn't play it because, you know, copyright. I don't fucking know. And then what else? Let's see. Oh, and then I've also been going through H.P. Lovecraft's, it's a collection of stories, the Necronomicon, which is like a lot of it. And that I got in Halloween, actually, on like sale. And I've been working through that. And Lovecraft is fascinating and also just extremely racist. Every single story, he has some reference to there being like Italians or Syrians or like half castes and like dark bread people, and like how all of them are like cultists and like worship the old gods and like are like have like devil blood and shit. And it's in every single story, and all the characters are always like these like uppity, like kind of upper class white people from the city, and you know it's early 1900s as well.
If I may interject,
that's short crazy in context
on Lovecraft, I have huge issues with Lovecraft's, not his work, but just sort of his legacy, in the fact that in the same way that almost all of you are like really big into video games, I'm big into board games, and I guess you could say the board game community. There's sort of been like a boom of like tabletop gaming in the last like 15 years. And like 1 out of every 10 board games out there, out of the tens of thousands that have come out recently, have something to do with Lovecraft. Like you can't escape it. There's like thousands of Lovecraft related board games, and I don't understand why. And it's like I've heard a bit of his work, and it's good stuff. And like I don't have problems with like him or like his literary works. Just the fact that like it's like kind of too in pop culture, like.
I was
It's
gonna say
oversaturated, and I'm starting to get sick of it.
It was interesting to me going through and like reading or being read all of these like stories that have like a huge cultural impact, like the Call of Cthulhu, and like Cthulhu's mentioned in like other stories too, but like that being the big one, and how there's just all of this shit growing up, like Cthulhu was always a thing, and like it's just fucking everywhere, and like, oh, Lovecraft spooky stuff. And then you read the Call of Cthulhu, and it's just like a short story that like kind of alludes to the fact that this like old god thing like escaped from the abyss, and like the world's gonna end or not, and just like insanity. But it's just super short, and like how that one small story like spawned all of this cultural effect that like I think the like impact of like Lovecraft in modern culture is way bigger than people like understand or give it credit for. Even like me not knowing exactly how much shit it has impacted.
Yeah, any octopus tentacly monster man is pretty much Cthulhu or Cthulhu knockoff. And they've been popping up more. It's sort of like, you remember how everyone was like big into zombies for a while, and then everyone gets sick of zombies.
Yeah, and there's like a thread of like wherever that started, and it just like grew out of control into its own thing.
Yeah, and like people know of Cthulhu, but not a lot of people know the story, because I think there's some guy on YouTube who I've heard like he's done a couple of audiobooks just on YouTube. You can listen to like individual Lovecraft stories. So I listened to Call of Cthulhu and like 1 or 2 others. Pretty good. Not as long as I expected. It's like maybe like half an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're you can read them quick, and that's cool, and I like that.
Yeah, it's the same with the story Dagon.
That was the other one. That
yeah,
we Call it Cthulhu. I've heard those too. Someday I gotta go check into the others, but I have not gotten around to it. But maybe I will now.
Yes, in spite of some shit about Lovecraft, his writing is good and entertaining and suspenseful and like all that. Well, there are a lot of stories that you kind of know what's going on like already until it gets to the point. Like there's this one that was like recently at the end of the Necronomicon, which is the Other or the Outsider or something, and it's just like a story about like this kid who like lives and like grew up in this castle, and he like doesn't know like how many years it's been, and he's never seen another person, and the castle's like underground, and he like climbs to the top of the castle and gets out into like the real world, like he's never seen the sun, and he goes into like a house and like people run away, and he sees like in this like gray doorway like this hideous monster, but it turns out the doorway's a mirror and he's the monster. Oh my god, crazy, so that
it's a picture of the like Ray the whole time.
And let's see. And then there's been like other. Oh, actually, I've been listening to an embarrassing amount of Jeff Williams, like the Ruby soundtrack at work, just because. Listen, I don't know what your opinions on Rooster Teeth's Ruby are, but Jeff Williams' music is just the most hype. Like it's like it's almost like childish how direct it is, but the music is just like like moral stories and guitar riffs and like just interesting melodies, and that's literally it. And it's amazing.
I really liked the Red Like
and
Roses Part 2 song. I had that downloaded a long time ago, and I would listen to it a lot. I didn't listen to like the whole soundtrack, but the Red Like Roses Part 2 song I really liked. And and I don't know, I actually like that description where it's like very direct and very just like, this is what it's doing. And I do like that kind of music where it's just like, here is your energy, here is your thing. And
there's just nothing extra to it. It just
I love
is
simplicity
so
like that.
upfront.
I actually think there's some elegance in not being cryptic. There's elegance in just like doing the thing without like extra. I don't know. That's a
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like,
And
just
then
be direct, and
go ahead.
then your message comes through more clearly, and you can make it more interesting.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything besides audiobooks.
No, keep going with the
and-
books. It's
and-
interesting.
yeah.
I haven't taken that deep dive into audiobook stuff, and maybe I should.
I mean, there's also, I'm looking behind me, I have a old like Gator piano case that is just filled with books that I have never read, and I just lug around and carry with me. And there's like the only one that pops into my mind right now is fucking the basic writings of Nietzsche, and that I got when I was like 15 or something and never read. I read like the first part of The Birth of Tragedy, and that was it. And just like other shit. But I think the other audiobook that I started recently, which is almost kind of a meme, is Tim Ferriss' The 4-Hour Work Week, which is like
I've listened to that one. I got an Audible and listened to like a bunch of those books. Yeah.
Listen, so the first so like it was the like revised edition is from 2009. And so, and this book came out before then. I don't know, it was like 2006 or 7 or maybe before. I don't remember. But the beginning of it has like good advice for like how to like structure yourself, like limit the number of decisions you have to make, like have everything be like as automated as possible. So you, like when you spend time doing something, it is the most effective time. And there's a lot of things that you do like needlessly. Like you don't need to check email every single day. You can do like once a week, or a lot of these other things. But it was amazing to me, like as somebody who has done my fair amount of research into the business model called drop shipping, right? Which is where like you fucking get some kind of like website, then you like sell products on there that you just buy from like a wholesaler somewhere and then ship it to the person, and you don't keep inventory, and you're just like directing traffic and making money. And it is just amazing how like all of the stuff that he talks about when it comes to this topic is just now 10 years later like the narrative and like the like buzzwords and talking points that everybody uses in any like blog or YouTube video or shit that's trying to sell you a course ever. And a lot of it's been like turned and used on the same principles into like super predatory is not quite the right word, but it's just scummy. Like,
yeah,
selling,
I
like,
agree.
like gold-plated fidget spinners for $40, and you're just buying like glossy yellow fidget spinners for like 20 cents a pop on Alibaba, and it sends like 4 weeks to ship, and you just like pay Instagram ads, like shit like that. Which is why part of why I've never made one myself, because I just like I don't know.
Yeah, it feels really like that. What's frustrating is like these are the behaviors that lead to profit, and
yeah, like people do get mad rich just like selling like hot at the moment like items and like just making a whole bunch of other businesses like, and then what you do is like once you have started making like $200,000 a year, you fucking make a course and be like, look how I made this much money, and then you sell that course $350 a pop to people, and then just make even more money.
It's very, it's like the multi-layer marketing kind of stuff. It's it's like, should society be rewarding these behaviors? Are these behaviors good for society?
I think not. I mean, part of it is like when he brings up doing this, it's like as a source of income that you need to put as little time into as possible to give you the freedom to like pursue other stuff that would be more important and productive to you. So it's not supposed to necessarily be something that's giving back a huge social good or positive externality, but it's just it's just amazing to see how it's grown since then, and like how I feel like this book has just the biggest cultural impact when it comes to people doing that shit.
Yeah, I actually like the first, like you said, the first half stuff where it's not about like not about what methods he used to make
Dude, I'm gonna
money.
get a virtual assistant. That sounds hilarious.
But basically his ideas about, just making sure you're spending your time doing things you care about. That's like, I think really the core principles. The only, again, in the same sense as you, my only takeaway is there's like, what happens to be the easiest way, like some of the easier ways to make money seem to be quite predatory. And in the long term, I don't know if like that being good options for people will help society. Ideally, you want the good options for people to make money to also be beneficial to society.
Yeah.
And so that's what's concerning about that. Although I don't have any bad blood against the author. He seems to be like someone who actually does care about living a good
I
life.
think
And
he is like, I think he holds utilitarianism above any kind of moralism sometimes, in some kind of an extent. Just
yeah,
in terms of like proving what's possible. Like when he tells the anecdote about like how he won the Chinese like kickboxing tournament by like taking advantage of the rule where like if you knock him off the stage like 3 times you'll win. And it's like morally this maybe is fine. But also he's just like using the like the fact that you can do that to like prove a point and like win a competition. And he did it in like what, like a month or something, or 2 months of training.
where he just like de-weighted himself a bunch and then was like,
Oh yeah, he lost like fucking
and the next
25
day,
pounds of water weight in a day.
he gained it back, and so he was actually like 20 pounds heavier than the other people or something.
Yeah, that too.
One of those like letter of the law versus the character of the law type things, huh?
Yeah, but he is still like making a point and like is very successful at it, and he still is like pushing himself to do things.
I think it's a good,
never accomplished.
Good book because it if you haven't already been exposed to like the ideas about personal time management and about spending your life doing things you want to do. I think that's the good parts of it. As far as like the methodologies of specifically what he did to make money and what he recommends, that's helpful if that's what you want to do, but I don't really like that sort of thing. So personally, I wouldn't. The second half is not for me, but like the first parts, just the core principles, I think are good.
Yeah, basically same. I mean, because he does talk about how his like initial like income thing that allowed him to have the freedom was just like selling Brain Quicken, which is just like a supplement essentially. And then like after years of this thing, it like got bought out by a larger company. Shit like that. And he would like joke to people that they're like, how did you get, how do you make the money to do what you want to do? And he's like, I'm a drug dealer. Amazing. But yeah, aside from that, I don't know. Trying to play Endless War. Okay, listen. I can only be on it a couple hours a day, and there's always people on there. And recently I've been trying to like finish some art for a contest. But I'm bad at art, and it makes me it stresses me out when I'm trying to make art and I'm bad at it. So then I don't. And I'll probably cut down. I'll probably finish something, but I don't know. That's what I've been up to. Just working, listening to stuff, coming home, being tired. Still learning though, still growing every day. I think languages are the next thing I need to like hop onto and get an actual routine for that. Because I know Martin has your like kanji stuff that you do every day, but
say like, oh, languages, I need to do that. It needs to be more of a dedication than that. Like, don't just assume.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like, the way you even said that passingly is like, I don't know if you're gonna get there if that's your approach. It's like, okay, I just have to do this for like many years, for like many, many, many years over a long course of time, consistently. Or it's like probably not.
It is definitely like the language that you use and like how you view something that impacts it. It's one of those things that's been like an abstract thing in the back of my head that's a list of things that I want to do rather than my actual priorities. So I guess I do use that language. Thank you for pointing that out. But it's like the difference between like
there's like those genius people that learn languages super fast. But I mean, it's not realistic to expect that you're going to be one of those people. And it seems like the average case is people take like 5 to 10 years. That seems to be what most people like that learn languages do. And the exception cases are the ones where somebody maybe picked something up super fast because they tried. But it doesn't seem like that's repeatable. Like other people can try that same thing and that worked for them. So that seems to be what I've seen. on
That
average.
is exactly another thing that Tim Ferriss talks about is like the fluent in 3 months guy, and like just immersing yourself for 3 months.
That's kind of bullshit. You might be able to do conversational basic here. I think what level of language, what that level of language is just like being able to ask where you need to go, like that, not read,
It's like parroting too. Like you're like picking up on patterns, but you don't necessarily know the actual grammar or separate things.
Which is fine. I don't believe in. I also believe like I don't think you need the actual grammar in like the formal sense. But what he like the level of that level of 3 months is like just being able to talk to people and do basic things.
Mm-hmm. All right. What you been up to though?
I just watched anime and otherwise just do work stuff, and then otherwise just do the basic practice for Japanese stuff. So I mean, I've watched in the past month Hunter x Hunter, Psycho Pass, Bunny Girl Senpai, and Chunibyo, and I'm watching like the first season of JoJo right now. What do I have to say?
Bunny Girl?
As someone who has not seen any of those shows, which ones do you think look promising so far? Would be worth my time to go check out.
The most promising is probably Hunter x Hunter. That's what everyone recommends. And so I'm going to pair it like a just well-known, obvious opinion. It's parroting a well-known, obvious opinion. Like everyone likes this show. It's universally loved. I would say like my main takeaway is it's overwhelmingly like a positive look on life and like just experiencing the struggles it gives you and like just enjoying the journey and like the facing everyday struggles and like rising up against it. It's like the overall theming of that, like I will definitely criticize the first half of the the first like opening season is definitely too slow. Like it's definitely not. I don't think it's excusable. Like where people say, "Oh, well, it sets up all this stuff." You could have set up that same stuff with less episodes. I will not excuse that. It's definitely could have been more concise. It's a product of the way like manga was done, where it's like they always have to draw stuff out really long. But like once you get into the show and the series, it's pretty excellent most of the way through. I guess again the Greed Island arc, which is like one of the middle arcs, could have been less episodes. It was a little drawn out too. And the beginning arc, the very first arc, is way drawn out. It doesn't need to be as long as it was. But outside of that,
just wait till Chimera Ant arc, dude.
No, I've seen the whole show.
The fucking
you
dude.
saw it all? Do you think you didn't think Chimera Ant arc?
That was the longest shit of my life.
I don't think it was drawn out. I don't think that was maybe the part with like the middle part where they're like training like with Knuckle and shit, like where they Pam and Knuckle, like the middle part that was drawn out. Everything else was fine. The only part that was maybe a wait was like in the middle where like that like they leave the vegetarian zone or whatever, the no electronics. I don't remember what it's called. The something zone.
There's like it's like a fucking commune or like a D.
Yeah. So when they first leave that zone and they go back and they have to like train to like try and be able to come back and help with like Knuckle and like Pam, that was like that was drawn out. That didn't needed. I think there is some level of over setup. Like you don't need that much. You can set things up and more concisely to be used later, and that was a problem there. But I actually think like the second half where it's just like 30 episodes, like that last 30 episodes, I don't really think that was overdrawn out. I think it was fine. My main issues are like spending too much time setting things up when it can be set up a little more concisely. So I think the show could have been like maybe 90 to 100 episodes, not 140 episodes. Would probably be the optimal length for the type of stories being told. It's my estimate.
Oh, it's only 140? That's not as many as I thought.
Yeah. So, and also what I was saying about the overall theming of the show, that's literally in like the conclusion of the Chimera Ant arc, like the final, like sort of nail in the coffin of that arc. I'm not going to spoil it. That part is what I'm saying is like just the joy of just like.
I mean, it was worth it.
Like facing the like the idea, like the theme of just having an everyday struggle and just enjoying facing that struggle every day and like looking forward to that and just always the new challenge all the time, and that being something to seek after rather than trying to have everything, but actually the idea of just having an everyday challenge and waking up to that and looking forward to it, that sort of theming. Without spoiling, I think you guys know what I'm talking about. That scene, yeah,
I never watched
that,
it, but I get the I get what you're like going with.
Picking out what you're putting down.
and that same thing is echoed in sort of a different way, like in the last arc where he, I guess that's another spoiler, but it's echoed in another context too. But I would say it's a very positive. A lot of the stuff I found in anime that was really interesting was more like, oh, I'm like depressed characters and like their internal state and like them facing that. Whereas
Zangatsu no Lion.
I watched that. I liked it. Not as, I mean, I still liked it like a lot, but not as much. It's like my favorite anime ever, but I still, I don't know. It's like in my top 80, like top 20, top 10%, something like that. But whereas Hunter, I like more. You know, it's like the best. It's the best example of something that has like a very positive message. Whereas like something like Ava, it's not necessarily like super negative, but it's like more. It's also actually, it also has a positive message, but the sort of like the last scene, like the omerito, like everyone's just like saying at the end. Yeah,
I feel like Ava's pretty positive. I feel like people take it in a negative context, but that's just because the world's fucked. But it's
I actually say this because there's like some. I was reading that Miyazaki was like critical of Ava as like a negative message and made like Mononoke as like Princess Mononoke he intentionally like did Ikiro as like the message for or like live, which means to live or like live your like aggressively. And he made that as like the movie catchline, and it seemed to be in criticism of Ava, maybe, which weird because I didn't really think like maybe it was End of Ava that had the negative one, where it's like the actual first series like it was really sort of recognizing that like you create these ideas of other people in your head that are not actually real. They're just your creations of them, and what they actually think you don't know, and sort of confronting these sort of internal ideas was really enlightening. Whereas like Hunter x Hunter is more like, let's move forward and face everyday struggles and just enjoy the challenge and enjoy it's very like, it's very actionable, very positive in that way. Whereas Ava's more like the takeaway is like, wow, is like going inside your own head, sort of that sort of experience. And some of my other favorite shows are like Welcome to the NHK or Tatami Galaxy. Those shows are similar in that regard, where they're doing sort of the same thing. Whereas Hunter x Hunter is the first show that's like been mostly where most of the appeal is like, I guess you could say is like narrative appeal, character appeal is very good there. Although I'm less interested in that than other people. So what I really take away is like that overall, that conclusion of the Chimera Ant arc was just that sort of overall symbolism was really good. And I guess like Bunny Girl, my takeaway that it was fine. It was not spectacular, but not bad either. I liked it.
Yo,
Nice.
If you like schooly, romancy anime and like want to see sort of that kind of thing, if you like what do you call like the Senjo Gahara knockoff girl. Although I actually like the girl in Bunny Girl better than Senjo Gahara, because I think Senjo Gahara is like too much of the same, like it's that same characteristic turned to like 100%, whereas the girl on Bunny Girl is that sort of aggressive kind of those type of characteristics turned down a little bit, and I think it's like feels like more of a real person, whereas like Senjo Gahara is like a caricature of those traits.
None of the people in Monogatari are real people.
Yeah, it's like turned up to such a ridiculous extent. It's like, okay, this is whereas like
is my everything though.
Yeah, so like you like the 100% version where it's like the Mai or whatever, I think her name's Mai, and Bunny Girl. She's like 70% Senjo Gahara. Like if there was a character meter that was just a one-dimensional meter, and that was like the Senjo Gahara meter, she is like Senjo Gahara at 70% volume. That's her character. Yeah.
That's still pretty high. Understandable.
Yeah, I guess for it's not like as exaggerated. I don't know. It's just like it's like sort of melodrama-y, like sort of supernaturally, like helping these girls deal with their shit. It's similar. Like people will compare it exactly to Monogatari, but like I wouldn't want to do that, even though plot-wise it is the same.
Really? I did not know there was like a comparison there.
The nature, like the feel of the show is different, but like plot-wise, it's very similar. Like just guy helping girls deal with their shit kind of thing that has a natural context.
I see what you mean.
But the actual feel of this and the nature of the show feels different. So it was good. It was. I mean, it would be on the list of shows. It's like, hey, if you like sort of romancy kind of shows, it would be on that list. Maybe try it. Yeah. I wouldn't be like the number one on the list, but it's on the list. And then Psycho-Pass, I was kind of disappointed in this because like Digi has it as like a top 10. I was like, oh, this must be really. But I was like, okay, I didn't get much out of it that wasn't more than just the premise. Like it's kind of just the premise with good execution. But it's like I didn't get any more out of it than that. Like it's just okay, this is the premise and it has good execution. That was.
How much have you watched of similar shows like Psycho-Pass? Because I think that might have something to do with how you liked it.
Yeah, I guess I haven't seen a lot of shows like it. As far as like future systems where it's judging people based on their propensity to commit crime, that kind of thing, or like maybe a futuristic system like. What's the popular one that's the 1980 something whatever?
Ghost in the Shell.
1984.
Not Ghost. I don't mean anime. Whatever like the
1984.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, 1984. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
This sort of
wait, no,
idea.
Wouldn't that be what's that one movie with Tom Cruise with the psychics who predict the crimes before they
like
happen?
that movie. I know that movie, but it's a Day After Tomorrow or something. Or All You Need Is Kill is what it was based off of, but I forget the name of the movie.
No, not that one. The one with he's like a cop.
RoboCop? No. No, never mind. That was stupid.
Minority Report. That's the one.
I don't remember. I haven't seen that.
Oh, that movie's so good.
But like, I guess like the thing was, I was expecting like something extra, like that kicked it over the top, that made it like, oh my gosh, this is so good. It's just like, oh no, this is just solid execution of this premise, and it's cool. And it was like. So it was good, but it wasn't like I didn't like have like a spectacular, oh my goodness, this is like best anime ever takeaway, which is like when somebody rates it that high is like one of their top favorites. I was expecting like that extra kick over, where it's like with Hunter x Hunter, even though it wasn't my favorite ever, I definitely got that extra kick over. Oh wow, that big wow moment with like the end of that arc. That I definitely got that sort of emotional. I mean, I definitely cried at the end of that arc. That was like very impactful. Whereas like the Psycho-Pass, it was more like I watched the show and it was kind of what I expected the whole time.
It's like an A, but not an A+.
Yeah, having like watched it years before, like it was a good show, but I didn't, rate it that highly. It was just
exactly.
A good show.
Yeah, it was just a good show. That was my takeaway with that. It's like if you like, the idea of a sci-fi sort of system where people are judged on their propensity to commit crime in their head, like whether or not they've actually committed the crime. If you think that's a cool premise, then yeah, it's definitely worth watching because it executes that premise excellently. I guess my one takeaway is there's a fucking 5-shot revolver. I counted. I was like, okay, there's one bullet left, and she's about and then he pulled the trigger, and there wasn't a bullet left. I'm like, wait, I counted since last episode how many shots have been fired. Why was there not a bullet? And then they open up the revolver and it's a 5-shot. I was like, oh, they did it right. I just thought it was a 6-shot. So it was kind of funny because I was counting the shots left in this gun throughout these 2 episodes because they actually run out of ammo. And just to check if they were actually doing it right, I counted, and they do. They actually use they use all 5 shots, but I thought there was 1 shot left because I thought revolver 6 shots. But it was a 5-shot revolver, and that was kind of cool that it was like they actually used exactly 5 shots in between the 2. And it was like not all in the same episode. It was in between 2 different episodes, and that was cool.
Man, if you're counting bullet shots, don't ever watch Rambo 2. I think he continuously fires a machine gun for like 6 minutes at one point.
That's pretty good.
Oh, that movie's nuts. But it's not
And I
great,
guess,
but
yeah. So, and then the other anime, I watched Chunibyo Demo Koigashitai. Chunibyo, what is it? Love and something delusions. I don't know how they translated it. But I'm a Chunibyo, but I won't love, kind of what it means. And that was pretty good. I was like surprised. I thought it would be a little worse than it was, but it was a little better than I expected. I ended up liking this a little bit more than Bunny Girl Senpai. It's just a cute little love story where it's like you have like this really ridiculously, it's like absolutely ridiculous. If you know what Chunibyo is, it's like middle school syndrome where it's you think you have like secret powers and pretend like you're like a freaking anime villain and say you have like dark magic and all this other stuff. And it's like the idea that like at a certain age, teenagers might drop into that phase and then they'll be like that. The joke being that this is happening 2 years later in high school and where you shouldn't technically be acting like that anymore. It'd be like if someone was like playing with fighting invisible bad guys in the woods as like a 15-year-old in high school
like
or something.
Cristiano Dynamite.
Yeah, that kind of idea where it's like, hey, aren't you too old for that kind of idea? And so the idea is like this guy is trying to get away from his past self that was like that. So he moved to a different school that was way away from it. So no one would remember him as the guy that thought he was Dark Flame Master, as he called himself. And so, but the problem is he had a neighbor that had been watching him since like a long time. I guess that's a spoiler. Fuck. Whatever. So this girl comes in and is acting like him. Basically, she's like doing all these. I forget what she calls herself, but like saying she has magic powers and just following him around. And he just wants to be a normal high schooler, and she's just acting like that. And so it ends up being like a romantic comedy sort of thing. But like you later learn that like there was actually more behind the reasoning than you would actually originally think. It's not just she's a stupid person acting silly. There's actually a more significant like reason that she's doing it. And so it's actually pretty good because it like actually makes sense as a in the context in real life why somebody might like. I think it's commentary on like I think it actually is excellent commentary on sometimes you have people where they have like imaginary friends or they act weird and like it's traditional that like, oh, these people are crazy. People might think, oh, these people have issues, but in reality these people know exactly what they're doing. And they might be doing it and they know reality, but they might be acting that way for other reasons. So it's like a lot, like it really is a good analysis on why people might act sort of like create fantasy worlds for themselves as coping mechanisms. And like
when I was younger.
While knowing,
man, I would have loved if it had ended with like the guy actually had powers the whole time.
I don't actually. I would take away from it because I actually really think it's a really good like look at why, like, because I've met people that sort of had like pretend games that they played when technically they're too old to be doing it or whatever, and this is a good look at like it sort of shows you no, these people know exactly what's going on. They're not delusional. They know exactly what they're doing, but they might be doing it for reasons that protect themselves or emotionally or for other, or it could be other things. And so I think it's like a very realistic look about why people might behave these ways, why you might have these people that sort of live in their own personal fantasies and for often good reasons, or maybe not good reasons, but at least reasons that it makes sense why they're doing it. And so I actually thought it was really good for that reason. And then other anime I watched was, I mentioned all of them, I think. Oh, I watched I'm watching JoJo, like the first season. It's kind of what I expected. I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it, so I'm watching it now. It's like about what I expected. It's
the
interesting.
First 2 seasons of JoJo are good.
The rest gets worse.
The thing is, like, they change
everything changes.
every
It's
season.
varied, depending on what you enjoy most.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'll
keep
see,
hearing
I'm-
conflicting things about like which season to start with, and like you're not supposed to watch them in order, or like
think
what's
you
the
should
deal
watch
with
No,
that?
you're supposed to
Like,
watch
season
from
one's
start.
really short. Like, part one's really short. Like, it's only a couple episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I
No,
definitely
it's
like
like
the muda, like the muda, like the muda, muda. And what the fucking noise Dio makes? Like, I can't make that noise, but that yeah, whatever he's doing, that noise is
The
that
W
noise. And, like,
Y.
I don't know what the letters because I don't watch with subs, but like that noise that he makes, whatever it is. Anyway,
George.
I guess I'm watching the new season of like what do I call it? Like Oregaru, it's like Yahori one no seishu no bukam ga machigate iru, which like that's the name of it. I don't know how to. It's like abbreviated Oregairu, which it's like
This
yeah,
one,
my youth love comedy is all messed up, sort of. Is just like I expected, kind of.
Hachiman.
Yep.
Yeah,
Fine.
yeah, that's pretty good. I like there was like a rap battle in the new episode. That was pretty funny. They just like randomly like he's like proposing like an idea for like a dance thing, and he's proposing it to this dude, and they just randomly have a rap battle, and it's like why did this happen? And it was like unexpected but good. It was good. I don't know. That's sort of all I've been watching is just a bunch of anime. I'd say overall recommendation would be Chunibyo was better than I expected. I think this show is slightly underrated. It's rated decently, but I think for me it was better than I expected it to be. Psycho Pass is probably about as good as I expected it to be. Bunny Girl Senpai might be a little. I think it's rated extremely highly, so I would say this one did not live up to its expectations, but I would still say I liked it. And then Hunter x Hunter was about exactly as I expected. Very good show. Yeah.
And where do you usually watch all of your anime?
Nyada SI, and then I search the name of the show and I click the torrent.
That's how you do it.
Yep.
You're supposed to say Crunchyroll and subscribe right now and get it
Nya SI?
month long.
NYAA.SI.
Yeah, Nya SI. Okay, I've never heard of this before.
And then you just search in the search bar the name of a show, and then you just sort the seeders by the most seeds, and you download it or you torrent it. You find the one that has the most seeds, and you click. And if you're in Brave browser, you can do it just in your browser. You just start the torrent. Although
Amazing.
Although if it's a long running torrent, I wouldn't do it with the browser. I'd use a separate program because like sometimes if you try to leave the Brave browser when running overnight, it might not actually work. But if it's just for like a torrent that's like one episode or or if it has a bunch of seeds where it will finish very fast, it's fine to do it in the browser. But if you expect it to run for a while, I might use a different torrent client.
This changes
Three
everything.
cheers for piracy.
Hip hip hooray.
Because clip shit, and you can make your own clips. Like, for example, I can like clip this when I was watching this. I was like watching this and I liked it, so I made this clip because I have the file on my.
That's a slippery slope that leads to Linkin Park AMVs.
Yeah, I definitely am not gonna do AMVs. I just sort of clip the parts I like. Or at least not now. I mean, anyway, I guess that's all I have. I just watched some anime. Those are the shows I would overall recommend. Hunter x Hunter. I would recommend Chunibyo Demokoi Gaishitai, and I would recommend Psycho Pass. I would actually recommend Bunny. I liked Bunny Girl more than Psycho Pass actually, but not by a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked Bunny Girl more than Psycho Pass, but I didn't like it as much as people like it because it's rated as like one of the highest rated anime. So I wouldn't put it that high, but I still like it. And Psycho Pass, I would also say is good.
Full Metal Alchemist.
It's not that high because that's the number one, but it's still very high. Anyway, that's me. That's all the stuff. I just watched some anime.
Nice.
Marowak, what you been checking out lately?
Oh, I think you all have some idea. We'll get into it. Actually,
Yes.
I just finished replaying Ghost of Tsushima the second time last night. Played it in color this time. First time I played it, I played it in the Kurosawa black and white mode, which was really fucking cool. I recommend anyone playing that game definitely play it in black and white. It's really fucking cool. Everything's in Japanese. You can't change it to English.
Nice.
Yeah, I've mostly been playing The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima for the past like month and a half. I played Last of Us 2 twice, back to back, and then went straight into Ghost of Tsushima. I recommend both games. I guess I'll just get into like my opinions, just general opinions. I'm not gonna get into too much detail because there's really not that much to say, especially since they're pretty popular games. Anyone who's into popular media will just
I
basically
don't
hear
know
the same
either.
thing.
Not that I haven't heard of these games, but I don't know anything about them really.
Wait,
Oh,
don't know?
I've been seeing these
Really?
streams coming out though.
Like Last of Us, all I know is like fungus zombies question mark.
Yeah, that's literally what they are. It's I mean, yeah, it's just cool because they're like actually real things. Like they're based off the cordyceps fungus that infects ants in real life, and
Yeah.
they just turn them into zombies basically, and make them go up to like the highest leaf on a tree to spread more spores and infect more ants. So The Last of Us, like in general, is pretty popular for that reason because it's like probably the most realistic zombies you'll ever see in any like media whatsoever. Because it's the most realistic. It literally exists. It just hasn't evolved to infect humans. And that's one of the reasons why I really liked it. Because at the time when I played it, zombies were at the hype. Like Walking Dead was like in its first a couple 3 or 4 seasons, and I was watching it, and then fuck Walking Dead.
So you finished Last of Us Part 2, right?
Yeah, I played through it twice.
Do you have like strong opinions about like all the because there's like big controversy about
Yes.
Yes, I've heard rumblings
Yep.
of controversy, but I
Heard it
Oh,
didn't
all
care
my
enough
God.
to look into the
in that week.
details.
Okay, so I don't want to speak on everyone's behalf because there are some really fucking stupid, like incel idiot bastards who don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and then there are some people who are like actually like big brained and think about it and okay, this game's not as bad as they think, but they know it's not as good as the first one. That's like the two camps, like the two good camps, or not the good camps, the two biggest camps of opinions of The Last of Us. There are also like critics who praise it to all high heaven. Like fucking Game Informer gave it a 10 out of 10, which is complete bullshit.
Game Informer and like corporate reviewers always
Ex-
suck. So,
Yeah, no, like that's just an example. Like there are some people who like praise it the whole hard best game ever made. Those people are just they're just paid to say that. Like they don't even count. But basically, I beat the game. I wasn't looking forward to playing it. Or I wasn't looking forward to it at all because I the first game is my favorite game of all time. It never needed a sequel. I never wanted a sequel, but I was gonna play it anyway because hey, it's a sequel to my favorite game of all time. Sure, it's not like it'll ruin the first game, and it didn't. I was afraid that it would at some point, but it never really did. So that was good. I'm in the camp that I like it, but it's not the best game ever, and it doesn't have terrible things in the game either. Like most people like to say. So probably the biggest criticism that people give this game, and spoilers, although this isn't like the first 2 hours of the game, so it's really not that much of a spoiler. And if you know anything about the popular talk about this game, you probably already know about it already. The main character from the first game, Joel, who you play as like 90% of the game, he's killed by a complete nobody at the time. Like you don't know who this person is. He's killed in a very brutal fashion, and it's very upsetting. People loved Joel. They thought he was like the hero that everyone just loved this guy so much for like the decisions he's made, and like he's a daddy of Ellie, and it's like, oh, don't kill Joel. Joel's a good guy, and basically the reason why he's killed fits, like in my opinion, and it's a fact. It fits into reasoning, considering the last game and what he did at the end of it. But people are saying like, no, he deserved to die like a hero's death because, oh God, I can't even get into it because it's so fucking stupid. It's like these people are just like, basically what the majority of these hate boner people are saying is that they had an idea of what they wanted The Last of Us 2 to be, and they didn't get it, and now they're upset. And that's literally every single one of them.
That's literally every video game ever, isn't it? You have an idea of what it's supposed to be, and then it isn't that.
I think the
people
only
whine.
difference is that this was like the sequel to one of the most acclaimed modern day video games, and it didn't really.
Fair enough.
It was kind of like a game that not only gamers played, but I think a lot of normies played too. Like it was kind of like this bridge to different game factions that enjoyed video games, but also enjoyed stories, because that's also probably the biggest thing about The Last of Us in general, is that it was great storytelling, and it told a really good story with really good characters. And people, get invested in that shit. It's like if you play a video game, you can complain all day about the gameplay and the graphics. It's like those are menial things to different people. But when it comes to characters and story, I think that more people are more engaged with characters and the story than they are about the mechanics. So when you make a game that everyone loves because of the characters and video games, and then kill the main character with a complete nobody character in the sequel, people are going to get upset.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get why people don't want Joel to die, and especially by a complete nobody or so brutally. But going into the game, I fully aware of what he did in the last game. He deserves it. Like he really deserves everything that's coming to him.
Like maybe he deserves death, but I feel like what a lot of people are salty about is that like you're kind of you're forced, like the person who kills Joel is like the main character of, or at least the second
one of two. Yeah,
two
she's like a second campaign
of The Last of Us Part 2. And like so a lot of people felt like oh man, I want to hate this character, but because I'm forced to play as this character and like go through this kind of like pseudo redemption arc, because it's not really, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That like I don't know. I understand. Like I watched a play. I haven't actually played Last of Us, so maybe I'm a fake fan. But like I watched, for Last of Us, I feel like Let's Plays are good. It's a good Let's Play.
I did that too. I watched all the like when it was new. I watched like a Let's Play of Last of Us, the first game. It's cool.
Because it's like it's like watching a really long movie. It's just
it really is. It's just a story. It's
chill narrative game.
I literally did that like a while ago, like maybe in 2014 or 15. I had already played the game, but it was like a couple months out, and I just thought, hey, that game was like a really good game to watch. I'm gonna go ahead and watch it on YouTube real quick. I did that, and then after that, I played the game like 3 times in a row after that, because I was like so in love with it. Like, yep, that's when I claimed like, okay, this is like my favorite game of the time, because I literally just watched it and played it 3 times. Like, great. So people are like little bitches about Joel being killed, and the other half of that is the character Abby, who is like the second campaign. She's the one that kills Joel at the beginning, and you barely know anything about her at the very beginning. You play as her up until the point where the cinematic plays where she kills him, and all she's just doing is she says she's looking for a guy, and Joel just happens to be him, and she's with like this group of people, and you don't really know who these people are at all. Like you have no idea, and then that's what the whole game is. Holy shit!
You okay?
I went down the wrong pipe. Holy shit!
Oh no!
Oh no! You all right, dude?
I know that feeling. That happens
Oh,
plenty of
shit.
times. Oh, yeah, that's
My
not a
bad.
pleasant feeling.
Oh
No, it's
God.
okay. It's okay.
Ooh, I'm okay. I'm just dying. That's fine.
Don't choke and die. No.
So the bulk of the game is finding out who these people were, and once you finish Ellie's campaign, which is like the first 10 hours of the game, then you play as Abby for another 10 hours or so, or maybe less. Depend like if you're like really if you're like new to the game, it's probably gonna take you about 10 hours to like explore everything and play the game well and whatnot. But it doesn't matter. Part of the reason why people don't like this game, aside from Joel dying, is the fact that you play as the character Abby, the person who kills him, and and people like to say that Neil Druckmann is the director is a fucking asshole for trying to force you to sympathize with this murderer of Joel. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, as soon as you start playing as her, it's explained why she set out to kill Joel and why it's justified, and it very much is justified. It's like, how could you not fucking want to kill Joel after she's experienced this? I don't really want. Does it matter if I get into spoilers at all? Like, I mean, I
Nah,
wouldn't
it
say
doesn't
much.
Nah,
matter.
go ahead.
Okay, well, basically, when you start as Abby, you find out that she was the daughter of the doctor Joel killed at the end of the first game, and she sets out on a vengeful quest for like 4 years in search of Joel to kill him for killing her father. And you know, not only is it her father, he was supposedly, as far as the group, the Fireflies, which was like the one of the side protagonists / antagonists of the first game, people who were trying to restore world order. As far as they're concerned, he was the only doctor that was still alive that could have performed the surgery to extract the vaccine from Ellie. So not only did Joel kill Abby's father, but also the last hope of
Curing the zombie.
the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the Fireflies' only hope, or like fighting chance. Like the last 20 years of this Firefly rebellion fighting against the government and trying to restore world order now it's like it was all for nothing because Joel killed the doctor who potentially could have saved the world. So Abby is with all these other Fireflies at the beginning of the game, and they are all there to kill Joel. Everything is justified. You can get totally behind why every single one of these people wants this guy dead. Because everything that they've fought for their entire lives is now completely meaningless.
Okay, I forgot. Is it okay to spoil the first game and explain to me? I forgot what happened at the end.
At the end of the first game, Joel finds out, like, they get to a hospital that they were trying to get to the entire game because Ellie has an immunity to the zombie virus. So they get to the game and or they get to the end of the game, and they're told, or at least Joel is told, because Ellie's been unconscious since they got to the hospital. He's told that they can build an immunity by extracting the fungus from her brain, which would result in killing her. Joel gets pissed, says he ain't having that because he lost his daughter 20 years ago, and he spent those last 20 years being an empty shell of a man just trying to survive, and now he's like, after meeting Ellie and spending the last year with her, he finally remembers what it's like to be a father and doesn't want to lose her. So decides to kill every single Firefly in the hospital to get to her, including the doctor that was going to do the procedure. Like, they were in the middle of doing the procedure. Like, they were just about to start the surgery. And he kills them and takes Ellie away. And he lies to Ellie after she wakes up that your immunity meant nothing. They couldn't develop a vaccine. There were a bunch of other people with immunities, and she's left at the end of the game just feeling like, well, my life means nothing now. Great, I guess I'll just spend the rest of my life with you. And that's one of the reasons why the ending of the first game was so great, because it's like one of those decisions that you can't imagine making and it being canon. It's like, holy shit, like, we didn't choose it, but it's like the game actually decided to take this low road instead of the high road of saving everyone, but actually being selfish and doing what the character wants, which is it's just cool.
Is this a case where it's like, if as a single story, like, no matter what you do and then follow up, like, if you do a realistic follow up, it's going to be disappointing because the consequences to having made that decision, it's never going to be good.
Yeah.
Right? Either you write a realistic follow-up, which sounds like what they did, or you write a bullshit like cop-out follow-up where somehow things still work out. You know, like, so either it's a bullshit cop-out writing, or it's the realistic outcome, which just seems like what they actually did, which is just going to be disappointed because there are consequences to doing that.
Exactly. Like I went into this like it wasn't implied in any definite fashion, but when the first trailer for The Last of Us 2 came out, and it was just this trailer of Ellie playing her guitar and all these dead bodies around her, there's Joel is like walking through the house, and it's like this. It's like he comes out of the light, and it's just very. You can read into it that Joel was dead at that time in the trailer. And that's what I thought ever since that trailer. Was Joel's going to be dead in this game. I can't fucking wait. This is going to be fucking great. And people were getting upset because they thought Joel was actually alive in the advertising slide. That's not where I was getting with that, but whatever.
Do you think there might have been less controversy if you had started the game playing the campaign with the other girl, the one who kills Joel?
Well,
like if you started playing with, instead of it being like, oh, now I have to play the person who murdered my character I've been playing for a while.
No. That's the thing. You do play as her before she
you
murders
do.
him. Yeah. Like
I thought it was the other way around. Like you play as Joel, and then halfway through the game, then it switches.
No. What happens is before, like basically everything up until Joel's death is like the prologue, and it kind of plays as like a miniature. I don't know the word, but it's basically just like its own self-contained story, and then like the rest of the game is another story. Yeah, kind of like that. And what happens is you play as Ellie for a little while, and then it switches to Abby for a little while, and then it switches back to Ellie again for a little while, and then it switches back to Abby, where it goes to the cutscene where she kills Joel, and then the real game starts.
Well, what's everyone so upset over? Like, I would understand if like they made you play for like 10 hours as like Ellie and or Joel, and then out of nowhere he gets murdered, and then you have to play as the murderer. Like that's what I thought was going on.
I mean,
and like I could see, that'd be a bit jarring. But why if it's back and forth the whole time? It seems like it's not like I'd only see that as being a problem if it was like so jarring. Like, whoa.
It was
not going to play this person I don't like.
It was because no one knew who this person was, and at the time at the beginning of the game, it was like, oh, this complete nobody just killed Joel. But then the game tells you who she is, so it's like, why are you upset? Like, I get why you're upset initially. That makes sense. You don't want to see Joel die because you like this guy, even though he did screw over the entire human race. He's cool, and you saw him die, and it's upsetting. But then you're given an explanation, and then people are still butthurt about it. They just can't fucking stand it. And I'm like, grow some fucking balls, you fucking pussies. Jesus Christ. Like, how could you not have seen this coming? Joel was gonna die, but people wanted him to die as a hero. And it's like, he fucking did die as a hero. He died protecting Ellie. Oh my god, I can't get into it. I'm just gonna get more upset. Oh my god.
All right, well, talk about Ghost of Tsushima because I think I know even less about this game. I don't think I know anything about it.
All right, so Ghost of Tsushima. I've been looking forward to this game ever since it was first announced at an E3. I remember watching the trailer, not knowing who the producers was, and getting really excited when Sucker Punch came up, and I'm like, holy shit! These are the people behind Infamous and Sly Cooper, and I've been waiting for them to make a game since fucking forever. They're like the holy trinity of they're like part of the holy trinity of like classic PS2 classics, including Ratchet, Jack, and Sly. So it's like I've been playing Insomniac, Naughty Dog, and Sucker Punch since I was a kid. So like seeing this game come out, I was like, oh, thank Jesus Christ. So Ghost of Tsushima, very different from other Sucker Punch games. You play as a samurai in the realistic early 1300s or something on the island of Tsushima, which is like an island off the coast of Japan. And you just play as this samurai dude who is being invaded by the Mongols, and you have to push them back, and it's a very traditional story. There's nothing too grand about it. It's inspired off of old Japanese black and white films, especially those based off of the late director Kurosawa. I forget his first name, but he's like one of the most influential movie directors of all time. He created like the Seven Samurai. That's like one of his most popular movies, I believe. And as a Sucker Punch game, it has an open world, very big, definitely the biggest that they've had. Sly Cooper was just like a bunch of self-contained open worlds, and then Infamous was like a big city and it had like 3 sections, but it's just a city. It's not as big as a whole fucking island, like a real life island. So it's definitely the biggest one they've had.
Is it kind of Assassin's Creedy at all, like parkour
yes.
notwithstanding? Okay.
Well, less parkour because it's a very open world with not a lot of buildings because it's like the early 1300s and the biggest buildings they have are like 3 or 4 castles or something, and those are just like self-contained missions. So it's really just a lot of running into forests and swamps, snowy landscapes. The game makes a point to be as beautiful as possible. So playing this in color, it's like you see all these different flowers and trees and skies and all these different hues. This game is fucking gorgeous. Like, this game is a work of art. If it was never clear that video games were a work of art, like, this game sets out to be a like classic work of art because it is fucking beautiful. Even in black and white, it's still pretty fucking beautiful. I don't want to get into how, because I can't explain how black and white is beautiful. It's difficult for some people to grasp, but I see it. But yeah, in this case of like Assassin's Creed, like, it is going to different sections of the map, liberating Mongol territory to expand your safe zones, basically. And you're fighting the Khan as you go to it. You have your basic sword, but as you play, you get different weapons. Like, you get a bow and arrow. You pick up what they're called ghost weapons, which are basically just ninja weapons. So you get like kunai, sticky bombs, and wind chimes for like distraction purposes, or like to draw in an enemy to a certain location, whether you want to kill them or just move them. You get one cool aspect about the game, which I think is very innovative. I don't know a lot of games that do this, but the combat, as simple as it is, it's just a matter of like reading your opponent's movements and reacting accordingly. You got like a dodge button and you got a block button, and the block button works as like a parry also. So when an opponent attacks, you get to do like a punishment on them, because that's what parrying is, I guess. But an interesting thing they do with the combat is that there's a bunch of different enemy types. Ones with swords, ones with shields, ones with lances, and then ones that are just big brutes. And you actually have to alternate between 4 different fighting styles to combat each one. Because if you're fighting a lance with a sword stand, with the I think it's the stone stance, which you used for enemies that use swords, the lance will be able to block your attacks and you won't be able to do a lot of damage. But if you switch to the wind stance, which is the one for the lance, you actually get to like break their guards and do critical damage on them. So while you're in the middle of a fight, you can have like a shield, a lance, and a sword guy all on top of you, and you have to like parry each one of them one at a time and try to kill each one of them with the appropriate style and switching on the fly, which pretty fucking cool. It's definitely makes for more engaging conflict than just reading your opponents. You have to like set up for it, or otherwise you just won't be able to hit them in between each fight.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that, because like the other Assassin's Creed games kind of get to a point where you just stand there and just wait for them to attack, and then you counter, and then it's just that for hours.
Yeah, it's definitely it's expanded on that in a huge way.
It sounds like it's like your entire move set kind of changes depending on the style, huh?
Mm-hmm. Like, he holds his sword differently, depending on the stance. So like, if you're in the stone stance, he'll hold his sword straight up, and his legs will be spread apart for like really powerful blows. When he's in his wind stance, he'll hold his sword above his head, and different examples of that. Yeah, so Ghost of Tsushima, pretty fun story. It was basically just a kick the Khan out of the land kind of story, but it also includes a bunch of side stories with different characters that are like optional. Best girl is Masuko Adachi, which is like this old woman character who her whole family was just decimated by a rival samurai clan. You assume at the beginning. So every time you meet her, like in her own optional missions, it's about figuring out who killed her family and killing everyone involved. Which is the best plot line of like the whole game, honestly. Especially by like the late game when you get like one step closer to figuring out who did it. Like there's this one mission that she's like so fucking pissed off that she tries to kill this guy that you were just supposed to talk to, and you actually have to fight her. Like just calm her down, which was like this really cool fucking moment. But just whatever. Yeah. Fucking.
So if I wanted to see a Let's Play this game on YouTube, where do you think I could find that?
Well, I'm happy you asked, because I did my own Let's Play, if you can call it that, on my channel, Son of Marowak. I played through the entire game in 11 videos. Each video contains a little bit of every character, and it's just me talking over certain points, or just not talking at all. I don't really talk over cinematics too much, but it's not edited, so there's a lot of death. There's a lot of fuck ups on my end, but I just did it for the hell of it. I just did it for myself. But if anyone's cares enough to engage in the story, I actually left timestamps in all of the videos for all the story beats. So if you just want to like see where every character goes to and from, then there you go.
Very, very nice.
And I know I've been going on for a little long, but I just want to say one more thing. It's going to be very quick. The only other thing I want to talk about is I went to the movies for the first time.
Oh yeah,
in fucking months, and it was fucking glorious.
Was there anyone else there?
No.
No? So it's like a one-person theater?
Yeah, like I was the only person in the theater. Yeah.
I know that.
Let's go.
It was so great. I went to see the movie Unhinged, which stars Russell Crowe, and it's about he's like this. It's like this alternate world where cops are like they're not getting as many cops as they need to settle different crimes, and then people are just getting away with aggressive driving and shit. And he plays this guy who's really unhinged. And he gets honked up by this girl because he's not moving his truck at a green light, and he gets so fucking pissed off at her that he goes ahead and steals her phone, stalks her in their cars, and kills like a bunch of her people. He kills her sister-in-law and her lawyer and shit. It's this really intense movie. It was pretty fucking cool, and I was so happy to see it. But that's just this movie. Yeah, I actually had to travel all the way to Connecticut. I live in New Jersey, because although the AMC movie theaters have been opened up across the country, certain states feel the need that they can't allow movie theaters to be open yet, and New Jersey is one of them. Fuck you.
I mean, I like movie theaters and all, but like it has to be really reduced capacity to be safe at all in COVID time.
Well,
Yeah.
they limit it to 40% occupancy.
That sounds
so like with every seat you purchase, like is assuming if every single seat you purchase, you'll have like a big X surrounding your seat. Like if you go on the app and purchase a ticket, you can't purchase a ticket or a seat that has an X on it, because that's social distancing away from the person who ordered a ticket that's like 2 seats away from you. So,
but how am I supposed to eat my jumbo popcorn with a mask on?
Well, they actually allow you to eat your jumbo popcorn as long as you have food. you can take your mask off. But if you don't have food, then they want you to keep your mask on. So like even if you're leaving the movie theater, just to go to the bathroom, don't leave without your face mask
Or your popcorn.
or your and they have like hand sanitation wipes at like every concession corner on every line and shit. They don't rip your tickets. They just like put an X on it. Like he just wrote an X on my ticket. So I guess I don't really see why that's necessary. But I guess anything you can to keep the social distancing. Well,
Do they have special vaccines just so the movies work, but not the rest of, just in case?
Wait, what?
It's a bad joke saying like they have a vaccine, but they only use it just so the movie theater like.
Oh,
yeah, it's like, oh yeah, they also have vaccines. They can't really share them with other places. No.
In that case, everyone go to the theater. But yeah, I had to travel like an hour and a half to get to Connecticut to get to this theater, and I'm gonna continue doing that because I love movies and I don't care how far I have to travel. I'm just gonna see the movies that I want to see, not like every movie because that's insane. I'm not gonna travel an hour and a half every fucking day. But yeah, movie theaters are back. I am so fucking happy. And this was such a good movie to come back to. Just seeing an aggressive driver just like torture this woman's life. It was great. I loved it. And that's all I have to say about that.
It does make me want to like. I probably shouldn't go watch a movie, but just the way you talk about your experience in movie theaters sounds just like, I don't know, just nice. I don't know, but I usually don't like watch movies.
It's such a simple thing. It's just great to go to the theater, especially by yourself, and just enjoy a fucking movie. And if there's like no one in the theater, then it's even better because it's just like you can talk all you want, comment on whatever you want to talk about, and you don't have to worry about anyone else fucking up the movie.
Yeah, especially if it's just like a random movie that I've chosen and I don't even care to like see or watch all the context. You can just like fuck around and hang out.
No, actually, speaking of like zombies and movies and we all being like weeaboos, you guys know the Train to Busan? I don't know if that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
The sequel, it's called Peninsula, is actually playing in theaters right now. So.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I don't know how. I haven't seen Train yet, but I will like probably today or tomorrow in preparation to see Peninsula. But I don't know what it is about exactly. But it's literally called Train to Busan Presents Peninsula. So I don't know if it's some like spin-off or like an actual sequel. But
I think it would be a sequel.
It's gonna be Korean. So if that helps you go to the movies, then go see that.
Possibly. All right. What's hey WarMagic? What have you been up to? What are you hanging out? What's going on?
So I don't know if any of you have seen this already, but I've been watching for the first time Twin Peaks, a legendary TV show. Very good. You know, have any of you heard of this show?
I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Same.
It's like there's so many shows that are inspired by like Twin Peaks because it's like it's a mystery show. It's like a mystery show with like subtle supernatural elements at play. It's what inspired like Gravity Falls. That cartoon is like basically is very heavily inspired by Twin Peaks.
It's David Lynch, isn't it?
Yeah, David Lynch directed it or whatever. And it has a lot of like there's a lot of moments in the show that are just like, yeah, this is a David Lynch thing. Like they have like a scene where the dialogue is like is being played backwards, and it's like they're like rewinding footage. And it's like this weird dream. It's really funky. It's like in the third episode.
Wait, is this the dwarf dream?
Yeah, the dwarf dream. Yeah.
Yes, that is like the only bit of this show that I have seen.
I mean that's like a pretty legendary scene. I mean, Lynch claims he like basically like was struck with inspiration and just like on some day he just like woke up or something and had the scene like mapped out.
I'm curious about this because I'm not familiar with this bit you're talking about. Describe this to me, and when the show's done, when we're done here today, I'm gonna go and watch it and see if I want to see if what you tell me lines up with.
I mean, the idea is that it's like the most famous scene of Twin Peaks. Probably. I haven't finished it yet. I'm like 4 episodes away from finishing season 2. But it's the idea is it's like a dream sequence. The idea is it's a like the main character is Cooper, and he's basically a detective. He's trying to solve this case, and in this dream is like a premonition he has about like the case, and the idea is he's sitting on this chair and he has all this makeup on, so he looks like a really old guy, and there's like a lot of cryptic messages that are delivered by this dwarf, this like really tiny actor guy, that you the viewer like can't really understand what he's saying, but like later on in the episode, like the Cooper who's having the dream will explains the dream, and so that's the way it's conveyed. Like, so like while you're watching the scene initially, you don't really understand what's going on.
Like it's just gibberish, but then he explains
that like
what it was supposed to be to somebody else.
Because he's also perceiving gibberish, but his character is actually like getting like just like a dream. You're getting like a vague feeling of what it actually means.
Yeah, because I think in the actual shot, like it's shot backwards, but they're like saying words backwards so that they sound normal when it's played. But since it's backwards, it like sounds fucked.
Yeah, it's really crazy, and also like the soundtrack. The soundtrack of Twin Peaks is like really iconic. It's like it like perfectly portrays like this like kind of like secluded country life, and but also like dashes of mystery. It's a little bit every character has motifs and stuff, and it's a little bit overused. But in general, it's like I think that's one of the things I heard about the series before watching it was that it has like this interesting soundtrack. But anyway, so I mean I guess I want to describe this scene again. Also there the dwarf explains that he has this cousin who looks exactly like Sarah. It is Sarah Palmer, I believe. I'm terrible at all character names on anything I watch, and so I will like I remember characters for the most part by what they do in the. Does anyone else get this where they just like can't remember names, or they remember like the actions of the characters?
Oh, I get that all the time.
Did you not hear me earlier? I couldn't remember like any other characters' names in the shows. Like,
It's mostly in TV shows, like early on, like I just won't remember certain characters' name. But typically with movies, it's not even necessary. So actually, I'm probably worse with movies because it's not very necessary. Never mind.
It's not Sarah. Sarah Palmer is a different character. I'm getting all fucking character names all wrong. Oh no, fucking hell. Whatever. The person who was murdered, is in this dream too, and he like tells Cooper like who murdered her, but then of course he can't remember when he gets up. Because it's a mystery show, you gotta kind of string it along a little bit, but it's a very strange show. Like it's not like any other like mystery show, and it's not like any other supernatural show, and it's definitely I think it's like the foundation. Like I think the X-Files and other like these supernatural shows, like get a lot of inspiration from like trying to convey like the sense of strangeness that's just lurking right past the camera, but you don't actually know until it's time,
Now, when you say supernatural, is it like ghosts and like the afterworld and stuff like that, or is it like cultists and demons and stuff, or is it like Bigfoots and cryptids and the Loch Ness monster?
So I'm not finished the series, so I don't know exactly, but from what it's implied, at first it seems to be like more supernatural or like psychic, like stuff, but then it's more throughout the show. It's implied to be like sort of like magic or like even like like some kind of sci-fi, like the supernatural characters are actual aliens of some sort. But I don't know. I haven't finished it, so I don't know the actual twist. But I've been watching that slowly over the course of the last couple weeks. So that's cool. Other than that, I play a lot of roguelikes. So I've been playing Risk of Rain 2, if you ever heard of that.
I've wanted to play Risk of Rain. It looks really fun.
It's so fun.
It's probably the perfect game of something like you can just sit down and be like, all right, for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to occupy my time with high octane, just dopamine fuel.
Yeah, it's no story, just action, and like Risk of Rain was like originally one of the like more popular like 2D roguelikes, but Risk of Rain 2 is really cool because it's a third person like action roguelike that's also 4-player multiplayer. So you get a lot of like, it's really cool, like I don't know, I don't think there's like a game that's exactly like Risk of Rain 2, just because I've never seen like a game that's able to implement the idea of like a roguelike having all these enemies on the screen and also having like the power scaling of items.
I mean, maybe not for like 3D, but there's like Nuclear Throne and like
2D. It's been done to death.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
The concept's out there, like Enter the Gungeon, Nuclear Throne, Risk of Rain, original Risk of Rain.
Binding of Isaac.
Binding of Isaac is like a classic one. Hades is new and is doing that. It's really good. But Risk of Rain, like I've never like third person. It's not being done too much. But
there is this like old like tower ascent game where there's like reptile people and bug people, and it's like warriors and rogues and like wizards, and you have to like go up this tower, and it's apparently extremely difficult. It's like turn-based 3D.
I don't know.
Yeah, I would have to remember what the fuck this is called.
But yeah, if anyone, that'd be a fun game to do, like a game night. You can mod
Risk of Rain.
Risk of Rain too.
I would be down for that.
You can get mods to make it like 8-player and shit.
I think we might have to try that sometime.
Next time it goes on Steam Star, I definitely recommend picking it up. It's like a game you can't really do like a crash content on it because there's no plot. Like the plot is like really light. It's just like gameplay for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Other than that, I watch a lot of cartoons, and I've been watching Infinity Train season 3.
Oh, has that show actually been like happening? Because I
Wait,
remember
that show got
hearing about the
blamed
pilot and nothing after that.
There's seasons 1 and 2 are there's 3 seasons of the show. Yeah.
Huh.
It's
That
actually
just got canceled.
No. It got picked up. It got picked up. First 2 seasons were on Cartoon Network, and then the 3rd season is HBO Max.
How did that slip by me? I never would know.
But they're both like really short. I think both of the first 2 seasons are like 10 episodes, and they're like 11-minute episodes.
Oh.
And they're like compact, like really nice, really fun stories. I definitely recommend. But season 3 is currently airing, and it is very good. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't finished any content. Like all the content I've been consuming in the past couple weeks, I've not finished. I started rewatching Wakfu, but
Yes, I need to do that
yeah.
too, and me and you need to do that episode
we definitely need to. We definitely need to
for sure.
Mhm.
Like now that you said that, I just remembered. Like this afternoon, I'm gonna go download the show again and start watching it and try and catch up with you.
It's so fucking good. Oh man.
Oh,
It's like season one's a slow start. It's a little bit of a grind in season one. If you're not into like slice of life stuff, it's very kind of reminiscent of Avatar, but like a little less tightly written. But then like end of season one into season two, yeah, baby, you get like all the
Is it
cool
like
lore.
more or less cringe than Ruby's Slice of Life?
Ruby sucks. Ruby's not well written. It is like amazingly way better than Ruby. Oh my god.
but we will get into that on our future episode.
Ruby has a lot of good things about it, but like writing and plot progression is not one of them.
But the action scenes,
Action scenes are good. Action scenes are good.
That's like the whole point.
There's some really bad ones.
I mean, after that animator died,
Dude,
Monty,
don't.
it got
Rest
yeah.
in peace,
Get out.
Monty.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I've seen past 3 or something, so maybe 3 or 4. I don't know if I've
gets
seen 4.
this. I mean, I'm still gonna watch all of it just to see what happens, and because like I do enjoy it, even though it's bad, but because it's just been like a part of my life for a long time.
I don't
But
know.
it's not.
But
Story.
I think I watched a random
fuck it.
scene from a new season. I still liked the action, so I was like, I don't know, this is still the same thing I got out
It's
of it.
definitely
which was just-
improved. There's like low points in like season 4 or something where they like change up the models and like how they animate stuff, and some of the fight scenes are just bad. Ooh, awful. But it's gotten better recently, but it's still clearly not in the style of Montium, who was like a prodigy animator and like
Yeah.
everything in
like
season
the
1.
cafeteria scene though. That cafeteria fight
Yeah.
is like so sick. Like that's just
That's all Monty, really.
Yeah, for the first couple
Like-
seasons at least, Monty was like, I think Monty only worked on the action scenes, and like he didn't really care about the rest of the show.
my
Yeah,
takeaway of the
yeah,
show
dude.
is basically the cafeteria scene. That's like that's the show. That's Ruby. That's sort of
That's all
Yeah.
you need, really.
I have not seen Ruby yet, and I am just gonna wait for inevitably when, like 10 years from now, Disney makes a live action version.
You think?
No
You
way.
think?
Fuck
Disney
that.
Plus Booster Teeth.
That- like is rooting the whole point of the show, which is stuff that could never ever work in live action, like the style of
Yeah.
fights. The whole point of the show is the style of fights, which would just never ever work without being animated in the way it is. Yeah, this scene, this is the fucking shit.
I still just remember like the initial trailer to Ruby, and I was like really hyped for season 1, like just from like the you know what I'm talking about, like the red trailer. What's it?
Yep, I know what you mean.
And then I couldn't get into season 1 very much. I was like, I think I dropped after season 1, but the action is good, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, Wakfu. Well, it's not like the best written thing. I think it's serviceable. I think it endears the characters, and the characters are characters with the like, you know, goals and personality, as opposed to Ruby Red, who's likes guns, I guess. Question mark.
Yeah, I guess she likes guns.
Maybe.
That was supposed to be a character trait. I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah, Frigin, I'm excited to do that.
Yes,
It's coming. I swear, I feel so bad for not having done a Crash content yet.
Okay, my ranking is Weiss, Ruby, Yang, Blake. That order.
Weiss.
That's
Weiss. She's
I don't know. I guess I always liked like the prim and proper rule following. That's one of the archetypes I like. I guess I don't know.
Pure
Yeah.
all the way.
Yeah, like
Go
the
pure.
the super prim and proper reformer that like ends up having to confront the problems with that ideology.
You just like tsunderes?
No, not tsunderes. Like, but this is different. Like, not the fact that I'm not actually. I'm more anti-tsundere, but I guess it's the type of or somebody comes from a background where they're very pure and formal, but then they end up having to confront like the issues with like pure black and white thinking, and it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah.
That kind of.
I see what you mean.
And so, but those people are usually the characters like that are usually like very founded in their beliefs, and so they actually are very like morally strong characters. And so when they realize that there's issues with their system of believing, they still carry that foundation of like good pure morals into the new system they have to create that is more complicated because it's not as simple as they originally thought. Like characters like Zuko and Avatar, or like whatever the dude is in Les Miserables, like that play that like a cop or whatever who was always for the law, but in the end of it he has to kill himself because he realized the other guy he had to let go, and it was a conflict of his own morals. That kind of thing where it's like you have a very very moralistic strong characters that like I think I would respect these people for being devout in their beliefs, but they eventually they come to realize with new information that like there's problems in the systems they were following, and they have to either incorporate that. And so I guess like Weiss is just like a prim and proper kind of character. Maybe that's not exactly what she is, but it's sort of that idea. I don't know.
Very specific, but I know exactly what you mean now. All right. Well, if that's
I guess
everything.
Satsuki fits that too, which is like, you know.
Yeah, I'm that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's everything, then I suppose JNES, you've come in.
Oh yeah, came in late. Or like halfway. Okay,
well, that's
so
quite all right. Yeah, what you been up to? What's going on?
well, the only coherent thing that I could write notes on was that I decided to watch an old 2000s show that I think plenty of people on the internet know. It's called Bleach, one of the big three.
Whoa.
And
Wow.
and think about why I decided to finally watch this show when I should have watched it when I was younger, is because I noticed that the anime is coming back in 2021. They decided to finally animate it after it's like gonna be 20 years. Like you think about that. So I just decided to watch it, and I was expecting it to be well, I don't know if I was expecting it to be amazing, but it was slightly good and watchable, I would say so. Oh, by the way, am I hearable? I just want to make sure that I'm
Yeah,
not.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh
you're
yeah,
good.
for some
You're
reason,
good.
You're good.
yeah, okay, everything was just quiet on my end. It was okay. All I know is that the Soul Society arc was apparently one of the best shonen arcs in all of shonen, and the only thing that I consumed from Bleach was some of the soundtrack, because Shio Sagasu is a god at that. He knows how to create songs that get your blood pumping. And number one is is one of my favorite anime songs because it's very blood pumping in that way. It's what I think it's kind of odd for me is that after I finished the Soul Society arc, I'm not getting it in a chronological order because what am I trying to say? It's sort of like that. It's got the powers, got the fights. Yeah, I like the fights. The characters, they're not compelling, but they are just got slightly enough depth that you can get into their motivations. And that what am I saying as well? Let's see. Bleach
Bleach.
is yeah, I know it's Bleach. It's just that it's I'm sorry, it's just that for some reason I'm getting really nervous. I don't know why. Oh. Anyway, so it's it's slightly okay. It's nothing that I'm gonna continue like that after the Bleach, like the Soul Society arc, there's an arc called the Alenka arc that basically well, let me just say back to it all the way to the beginning. So who here knows about Bleach and like the central laws of the universe about hollows and soul reapers? Does anyone know about that?
I
Barely,
No clue.
literally
know
nothing. Like I
nothing.
remember, I maybe watched like the first 20 episodes of Bleach, but I just couldn't get into it. Really.
Maybe we should have started with, has anyone here watched like any significant amount of Bleach?
Okay.
No, there is
No.
a song that I like
So-
on a soundtrack that I
Never.
listen to.
So I
and
guess
put on
it's
my
just like
phone.
unanimously, we don't know anything about this show. So what's
Okay,
the
so
basic
that's-
premise? Tell us about Bleach.
Okay, so that's why I was nervous. I'm not even explaining the show. Because I think I was just feeling your confusion. That's why. Okay, so. Okay, you imagine like the other big two, Naruto and One Piece. They got. Easily, you know what the appeal is. Naruto is about magical ninjas, and One Piece is about
Magical pirates.
That's like the more eccentric elements of pirates that that kind of have magical abilities. With Bleach, it's just kind of like it's more Japanese oriented. It's Soul Reapers. They're more commonly known as Shinigami, like death gods. They're like when a soul dies, a Shinigami would come and whisper it back to Soul Society, which is basically heaven in Bleach. But but if a soul like hangs around and didn't get goes to Soul Society, the soul eventually transforms. Like if he does, like soul doesn't move on to the afterlife, it just transforms into a hollow. It becomes hollow, which is like the dichotomy between Soul Reapers and Hollows. So you,
Dark Souls.
yeah, yeah. It's funny how
Surprisingly,
that
this
works.
description sounds a lot like Davy Jones from the Pirates movies, where you're supposed to take souls to the afterlife, but if you screw up and don't, then they turn into monsters.
Yeah.
Interesting
Pirates of the
comparison I just
Caribbean?
drew there, but like,
Yeah, that is an interesting
what
parallel.
if they're
I didn't
canon to
think
the
about
same
that.
universe? Ooh.
But like, as far as time for value, this is 366 episodes.
Yeah,
Like,
a third of it is about filler.
Did you watch all of it, or you just
No,
started
I
with it?
didn't watch it. I only I'm up to like finishing the first act of the second major arc of Bleach, which is called the Alenka arc. Because after Soul Society arc, I think Chite Kubo wanted to explore the power system more and exploring like at the end of Soul Society arc, the only reason Ichigo was actually okay. Well, before I keep jumping ahead of myself. So the reason that Ichigo got involved in the whole Shinigami side was because one day he happens to see a female Shinigami just in his room, just exploring, and her name is Rukia. Have you ever seen Rukia?
Yeah, that's like as far as I
Okay.
got. It was just like
Yeah,
him meeting her, which is like what happens at the
yeah.
beginning,
They're
and
just
then he
like
like
the
kills
first.
his first hollow, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Whoa!"
Whoa! To the
I think I've
soundtrack
seen
of
like
number
episode
one.
1.
Was that back in the day?
I don't
Oh,
remember
it's-
when. I saw a whole the whole first episode, and I was like, eh.
Yeah,
But
I
I'm
think
sure it picks up. You know.
I think you said it best when you said it's watchable.
yeah, it's watchable up to that point because the Soul Society.
watchable is like not a good look.
Well, I mean, it's
Espe-
not that bad. It's just that everything that it could, like, its high point was just is Soul Society, and just seeing how that works, and seeing like a guy that is gonna just really cares about his friends and wants to get Rukia back. Now, if I like to say it does have a appeal because you definitely, if you know about Bleach, you know about the word Bunkai. Because Bunkai is basically like the word you say, and like it like you get like a superpower that ranges from I don't remember what they call it in Bleach, where you got this magical power. I don't remember what they call the magical power in Bleach. I don't even remember because Bunkai is supposed to be like a second transformation. That I forgot what the word they used for the first transformation.
Shazam.
Bunkai, yeah, it starts with an S anyway. It starts with an S, and then the second version is Bunkai, which is just transform to your Ultra state.
I've heard of that. I like, even though I've never
Yeah.
seen Bleach, so it's pretty prevalent. It's popular enough to where I've heard Bankai before.
Yeah, Bunkai.
Yeah, I've heard the phrase.
I just want to see some goddamn Bunkai instead of just having to deal with the plot because
I I always imagined it was just the same as like seeing Naruto doing like the Nine Tails transformation and just getting pissed.
Well,
Mm,
I was
I
going to
think
say this sounds a lot like maybe like a year or two ago. I went and I had never watched any of it. I marathoned the entirety of Naruto.
Oh my god! With the
Whoa.
first
Even the
season or
filler?
Shippuden?
No, with the whole thing, but I did skip all the filler, so that cut out
Ah,
like a
yeah.
couple
That's like
hundred episodes.
That's like hundreds. I don't understand. Like, I mean, I watch maybe 30 to 40 episodes a week, but like that's hundreds. So that wouldn't be like in 1 month. How do you get that?
No,
Like,
not in a month. It took me like 3 months, but so the whole show there was like 700 something episodes. About 300 of them are filler. Like there was entire filler seasons, so I
okay,
found a wisdom
400.
to skip them all.
That makes sense. Okay,
Yeah, about
400
400.
episodes.
So
Yeah.
I watched about as much as like JNES here is watching like all of Bleach. So 3 or 4 months to do this.
Yeah. So just about where I was, it's the Soul Society arc. I think it. I wouldn't say maybe it's just because I'm a Zoomer and I've just watched more modern shonen and shonen just progressed as an art form in terms of structure. But I don't think Soul Society is particularly one of the best. I think it's a competent as a structure, like structured storytelling, like the escalation of threat, like Ichigo is the main character. He has to go up against opponents that are slightly stronger, one after the other, and it makes sense. It's not like in some anime where you suddenly get a power boost. It actually makes sense that Ichigo is gradually gets stronger, and only at the end where Ichigo has to face the last opponent, which is Rukia's older adopted brother, that he had to use Bankai, and even then, at the very end, he had to borrow a power from apparently there's a hollow inside him alongside the Sengetsu, that's his sword, and the hollow took control of Ichigo, and that's how he was able to deal the final blow. I would say that what was really odd about the anime is that at the end, at the start of the second arc, it treats the filler arc. There was a filler arc immediately after Soul Society arc called the Bounto arc. And when you think of filler, you think of filler not interacting with the main thread, or it's like the filler never existed. But watching the second arc, let's see, what's the second major canon arc? I think it's called the Alanka arc. And for some reason, the Bounto arc is treated as canon, even like the main antagonist of the filler arc is like featured in the canon Alanka arc, and it's really confusing me, and it was taking me out of the story of like I could count like 5 or 6 times. Like, oh, what are you doing here? And so far, I think it's kind of retreading the same steps of the Soul Society arc, but less done well because Soul Society arc was way more interesting than what's been shown to me so far. And I don't know if I'm actually portraying that correctly, but I think it's starting to become more of a chore for me to watch. And I don't think the antagonists were as good as in the Soul Society arc. No matter how much good the battles might be, and I have a feeling that the majority of the soundtrack I love from Shio Sagasu might show up there, but I could just listen to a whole compilation of songs on YouTube. And when the anime comes back in 2021, I'm just gonna watch a whole bunch of spoilers of someone explaining the whole major plot of Bleach and just enjoy the Bleach's fans' excitement because I don't know why they like Bleach so much from 2004 2005. But you know, at least
Shots
they're excited.
fired. It's like I gave it a try, but this is not holding.
This is not for me. It's a
Yeah.
generational thing.
That's how I
Yeah.
felt about watching Nate's One Piece lecture, the fucking like 5 hour one or something. It's just like I know I'm never ever going to watch this show,
Oh,
but I'm happy for you, Nate, that you find such excitement in watching.
I read all of One Piece because of that. I did it. I
Oh
did
my
the thing.
god.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
that's
It was
really long advertisement.
It's actually pretty. It's definitely the best big three. I think
Yeah, I agree with that. It is definitely the big thing.
You mean the big four?
Big
Whatever happened to Dragon Ball, man?
No,
Dragon
it's
Ball's still
ahead of its.
going, I
Dragon
guess.
Ball's ahead of its time.
Yeah, Dragon Ball's at the grand.
So Dragon Ball is just really old. The whole point of the big three is they were like currently still going when
Fair
that
enough.
was
Well, GT was about the same time that those started.
I think people tend to treat GT as not existing. They just.
I don't know why
really-
it's better than Super.
But really, like the big
I
three, that's like
agree
a
with that.
2000s thing. That's been dead for a while. Like I don't know.
Yeah, and that's something I kind of wanted to touch on. You were talking about like
Oh, you said
sort of like
escalation
going
of threat.
Yeah,
How's that?
escalation.
How's that compare to Chimera Ant Arc? Because that was really good escalation of threat. That was like it just kind of it's like it starts small, but then it just immediately gets out of hand and it just gets bigger. That was I really liked. That was one of my favorite parts about the Hunter x Hunter Chimera Ant Arc was just the escalation of like it seems like if like there's a bunch of things that made it possible for it to get out of hand. Like if they weren't in like a place where they couldn't communicate, it happened to be in an isolated area, but like and every thing just immediately gets worse and worse very fast. But it also makes sense in the world why it was possible to happen, even though they sent things to try and stop it. But it was just really interesting how things escalated to like get out of hand so quickly. I don't know. That was
Yep, it's well, Bleach's escalation was okay for sure. Like the way you described Hunter x Hunter makes me remember what it felt like for me to watch it. And each time Hunter x Hunter escalation went up, it felt like a gun punch. Yeah, even now I can remember the horror I felt. So Bleach's escalation was safe. It was like, oh wow, Soul Society arc is really like more dangerous than I thought it's gonna be, but it feels like safe that I know that Ichigo would actually be able to win. But with Hunter x Hunter, I feel like, oh no, I don't know if Gon's actually gonna make it. He could potentially die. So,
well, I mean, I definitely knew he wasn't going to die, but like,
well, it's like
but
police
it's
get
still,
ready.
yeah, I definitely felt the threat. Like the other characters could die, but I mean, I know that Gon can't die because, yeah, but
Yeah, but
just,
sometimes
yeah, I
people
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so I say Hunter x Hunter is the perfect escalation of threat in a shonen. So
I think JoJo kills too many characters to where it actually doesn't matter. You just don't care. like, just starting off, I'm like, okay, they're just gonna kill this guy, whatever. Like, I actually thought like because they kill so many characters, it's not impactful.
I get
like,
that.
It's weird if you don't kill any characters, it feels not impactful, and if you kill too many characters, it also doesn't feel impactful. You have to get a fine balance where you just barely kill some characters, and then it's impactful. So Hunter x Hunter did the right thing where it's like it was impactful when it happened. But like JoJo seems to do it too much, and then something like Fairy Tail, they never kill anyone, so and you just don't care.
well, then
yeah.
it's bland. Yeah,
So
let me just
something interesting that you brought up that is definitely, I think it was like kind of a relic of its time.
yeah,
Just
very
that
mid
early 2000s anime of filler arcs just being a thing and like
yeah, that's
heavily
very odd.
deviating from the manga. Like that hasn't really that doesn't happen as much these days. You know what I mean? Like
No,
I
Attack
think
on Titan and Berserk had filler arcs for their anime.
like there's a bit, but like it's like people care more nowadays about like the show trying to stay true to the source material as much as it can versus back in like early 2000s, like 2000 to 2006 or so, like
Yeah,
they didn't care.
FMA,
They'll throw in like
2003.
100 episodes of filler just cause.
Yeah, just because they want to stretch out the show.
And I don't know if that's just the production cycle. Like these days, the show will be ready when it's ready. It doesn't matter if it takes us 5 years to make the next season. Versus, I feel like back then, before the internet was big, like way before you could like watch anime online, then there was much more like pressure. I think to like, oh, it's gonna be ready for TV. We need one new episode per week. Period. Make it happen. Under all circumstances.
Yeah, I can understand the mentality of the show's creators if they actually do need to crafted for television. Now, when you think nowadays, there are shows that can just be put on the internet and not have to be tied to television restrictions. And
Yeah, I
it's
think that's
beautiful.
starting to happen to like it happened with anime first, but I think it's starting to happen with TV in general now. You know, like Netflix makes a TV show. Maybe it takes them 5 years for them to produce a second season, but
TV is
it's
dead.
ready when it's ready. And I don't know which way I prefer it. Like, you get higher quality shows and stuff, but there's no telling like how long's an episode going to be? How long am I going to wait between one episode and another, or one season and another? Like it's higher quality, but like there's less certainty about when you're going to get it.
Yeah, and it's another thing. Like, one of my last notes here is that I don't know if I was younger, like if I was like Jess's age. I'm talking about Endless Jess. When he was younger, he would watch Bleach back in 2005. I don't know if I also would have liked the show, or if it would just if I feel the same, and I would just be bored enough to flick to a different channel and watch some different cartoon. Because
Well, see, here's the thing. I didn't have cable when I was a kid, so no Cartoon Network and no
no
Nickelodeon. So I was stuck with Kids WB, and about half of their shows
Kids
was just
WB, baby.
was just like half of their lineup was just for kids dubbed anime.
Hey, yeah.
So if it weren't for the fact that I don't think it played, like I think it played on like weekdays when I was at school, but if it weren't for that, I probably would have gotten into Bleach back then, because that probably would have been the best show I had access to.
Wouldn't it Bleach be accessible on Adult Swim?
No Cartoon Network, no cable. Not until I was in high school did we get cable. So
I thought Bleach was only accessible on Adult Swim, but that could have just made me misremembering something.
maybe it was. Maybe that's why I didn't watch it. I think I was misremembering it. My bad.
I remember I was like anti-spooky anime, like, oh, that's got devil shit or something. I was like,
Yeah, Bleach definitely has a lot of stuff in that.
like anything that was like related to like souls and stuff. I found like, ooh, what is that? That's scary. I'm a Christian boy or something.
None of this witchcraft.
Except for Yu-Gi-Oh, for some reason I thought.
I was just
yeah,
gonna say.
dude.
But the thing about Yu-Gi-Oh is like, even though it was weird, I actually thought it was cool, the weird stuff in it. So I probably should have. I don't know. I think it was
all
like
this other stuff.
Like I just remember turning on Adult Swim by accident once or twice, and it was like Inuyasha, and I thought, what is this weird stuff? And I just like was kind of turned off, and I didn't watch it. So I didn't watch anime until like 19 after high school. For that reason, I was like just sort of saw it and thought it was weird. It is weird, but it's cool. I mean, I later learned it was just cool weird, not just bad weird.
It's all Daijabu.
But I guess just final verdict from everyone here between the big three. If you had to watch one of them all the way through, what you gonna pick?
Naruto, just because it's like I'm already like halfway through it, probably, even though I don't want to return to it.
Where'd you stop?
When like after the the Lightning Kage, the Raikage, and they get onto the big turtle island, and then the Great Ninja War starts. Maybe a little less.
Around that time.
Well, shoot, you're like 3/4 of the way done.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like if the Ninja Wars started with the them capturing all the tail beasts, then
Yeah,
you're in, like that's the end game.
I just
Go in the whole stretch.
Yeah, go finish it.
hey, it's the same with Breaking Bad. Okay, I stopped on like the last 3 episodes of Breaking Bad, and I never finished it. A terrible person.
Okay, everybody else. Big three shonen. Anyone have a favorite or an opinion?
I think I would
One
watch One
Piece.
Piece. Yeah, even though it's still
Read
so
One Piece.
long,
I think reading One Piece is
Naruto.
infinitely better than.
I've seen 15 episodes of One Piece, and then I dropped it.
I think reading it is a lot better because it goes a lot faster and
Yeah, Yeah, I would read it too.
I think Oda's like just manga style is very nice to watch.
Yeah, I would buy the whole manga.
Talking about watching cartoons when I was a kid, I kind of got turned off from One Piece because I saw like a few episodes of the dub.
Mm.
That
Kids
dub.
I liked it.
Guy go,
Seven.
guy go.
Demon.
So just
Give it up, Goofy.
yeah, that was fun theme song. So to wrap up Bleach, it's just that I decided that I'm gonna drop it and just enjoy it through Bleach fans' reactions of when the anime comes out next year. Because it's not worth any wasting more of my time if I'm not emotionally invested in the show.
But you would recommend the soundtrack, though.
Yes, I would recommend listening to the whole soundtrack. Well, not the whole soundtrack, maybe like the best of the OST. It does have some awesome songs that want to make you run a mile. Just how epic it is. They got like some choirs singing.
Is it better than Through the Fire and the Flames, which is exactly 7 minutes, which is perfect for running a mile?
I
didn't know
think
this.
yes, if you download the whole hour of it.
You expanded my fucking life with that information
Oh
right
my
there.
god.
No, I
Yep.
seriously, I only, when I would run a mile, I would always listen to Through the Fire and the Flames, and I'd run at 8.6 miles an hour, which is exactly 7 minutes. So I could time my mile by just listening to that song.
Literally,
Oh my
I hate
God.
running, and this is going to change
Incredible.
everything.
Yep, that's a good scene now.
And I'm sure you like have memorized the lyrics to the song by now. One of these days, Crash Content Karaoke. We're gonna have to do it.
Oh God.
Oh, that
No, I don't know any of the
That'd be
lyrics.
awesome.
I just listen to like music. To me, I can't remember lyrics unless I specifically pay attention, which I never do. I listen to the music.
But I know, but like when you've listened to a song that many times, you catch some of it.
His focus is just too laser pointed on everything that's not the lyrics.
No, maybe it's just like I don't know. I actually don't even remember what it says. It's like something through the fire and the flames we carry on. That's all I remember.
Well, to be fair, they do have some pretty crazy accents.
Yeah, they have weird accents. Like it's like something 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 through the fire and the flames we carry on, and it's like no 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 no. Yeah, I can remember.
And then
I
guitar
remember the
goes
riffs.
bonkers, yeah.
I remember the riffs way more than like the actual lyrics.
Like people who think Sans is the hardest boss fight ever. No. Go play your Guitar Hero.
Sans is way harder. Come on.
Like I
Unless it's
remember
like-
back in the day, like people would like beat that song and like submit it to like Guinness World Records.
Yeah.
Like that was a whole thing of I beat the song, but like yeah, maybe like 10,000 people were able to do it like perfect. That's still not a lot, but anyway, Bleach.
Just gonna drop it and hope I can watch some better media. next time
I
we
guess
talk.
either read One Piece or watch Naruto if you're looking for some shonen.
Yeah, some old classic shonen the millennials join when they're just little kids.
Yeah, you want some Millennium shonen. Well, I mean, let's be fair. If you want the good stuff, go watch like Dragon Ball Kai or something.
Or just Hunter x Hunter.
Yep. Oh, you.
I will support the theory that Hunter x Hunter is the best shonen at this point.
It
I
probably
support that.
is.
Like I've seen it and I'm like, yep, it was good. I understand the consensus on that.
Yep. I'll happily vouch for Hunter x Hunter being the best shonen.
We did it, guys. We solved
Unless Simple Gear
shonen.
counts, if Simple Gear counts, that's the best shonen. But otherwise,
In Togashi we trust.
Sick. Well, I
Alright.
guess if that's all we got, before we all go, do we have any plans for various interesting content we intend to check out this upcoming week?
Hmm.
I don't
Really?
think I'm gonna be able to check any interesting content because I'm gonna be moving to DC, so I'm gonna be
Whoa,
focused on the
Whoa.
logistics with
that sounds fun.
it. Yeah.
that sounds wild.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I plan it as soon as I move there. I'm trying to think what interesting content or video games. What do you think I should do next once I move there?
Well, you
should I
missed our
take up?
conversation about audiobooks earlier, but
Ah, that's a shame.
Yeah, just read. I don't know books.
Don't
I
read
hate
the 4-hour
reading,
work week,
but if
or
I was
maybe
to-
do. Read only the first half. That was
maybe
our
don't, but
contention.
maybe do, but maybe also don't. But maybe
First
do.
half's okay. Like, so it's more that like some of the advice is good, and the other advice is like if everybody did that, the world would be terrible.
Okay, the 4-hour work week. I'll check that out then.
Oh
Like
boy.
the first half is like, all right, just make sure I'm prioritizing things that matter to me, and the second half is like scummy ways to make money.
Oh, that's not good. I think that's something be Nate with joy.
No, the first like I would definitely like the first half is actually really good though. It's like just like prioritizing what you really care about in life and making sure you're spending your time doing things you care about, that kind of stuff. But then the second half is like optimal ways to make money without doing anything, which ends up being sort of predatory marketing tactics that I don't know if the world would be a good
How
place
to convince somebody to buy a product you put no effort into at a markup price. Yeah. No, but like for me, I don't know if I have anything specifically in mind. I do know that I want to watch ReZero Season 2, which maybe I can now with Nyasai. And there's lots of other stuff that's come out recently, none of which I can name specifically. That
I'm also watching that currently. It's pretty interesting
yeah,
so far.
I did like ReZero the first time I'd watched it, and I can't believe how many years it's been. Time really flies. But aside from that, there's some books I want to read. Today, actually, I'm going to go out. We have just walking paths and like a small park near where I live. So I'm going to go out there, try to read a book for 30 minutes because I haven't done that in a very long time. But hopefully for the content I want to consume, I want it to be more directly useful to me, I guess, while also not being stressful. Because these are two things I'm trying to balance in my life right now.
After
I feel
I've
that
been
so
playing
much.
video games for so
Yeah.
long that I have kind of lost track of.
I just can't. I can't sit down and play a video game for like 5 hours anymore. It's just.
Well,
I just get the crushing sense that I need to be doing something else.
I decided to go back to anime for a little bit, and I found the what's it called, Monster Girl Doctor, and I'm really into Monster Girl anime, like Monster Musume manga's fucking lit, and then Interspecies Reviewers is my new favorite anime of all time. And
I
and
love that
now
show.
I found this Monster Girl Doctor, and it's not the best, but I really love these Monster Girl shows that really delve into the biology of these creatures and the world building that they present. And this show takes place in
Wait, who's your best girl in Monster Musume no Toiden?
Mia.
Ooh, it's definitely Poppy. Let's get out of here with the Mia shit.
I don't care. Mia's. I literally have a pillow over her.
Well, Poppy is best harpy. Just there's no contest for best harpy because there's only one. But also she's best girl in that show.
But this doctor show seems interesting. And, the doctor is just like I was afraid that there was gonna be there is stupid embarrassing oh, you're a doctor but you're also a guy and I'm a girl. Come on, get away from. There's that. But there was this part where he was actually trying to help a harpy who was she was under so much stress that she couldn't lay eggs properly. So he actually helps her he massages
Naturally.
her I cannot say this word, abdominal her belly.
Abdomen.
Yes, yeah, abdomen. That's it. Yeah, he's massaging that and helps her release the unfertilized egg, which I was, and there was no oh my god, what are you doing? This is embarrassing kind of shit. It was just him doing it. And
Very
I'm
clinical,
I need more of this. Please just fucking do Monster Girls right. I want to see
No
biology.
bullshit anime reaction. Get away. None of that.
Yeah. There is, unfortunately, it does have that, but it's played down less than the other two. Or
so you're there for the fact sheets, right?
Yeah, I love all of the after credit cards after each episode. It gives you a picture of 4 different subspecies of Monster Girl, and gives you little factoids. and like after like in the where the manga or where the anime finishes of Monster Musume, like in the manga, right after that is where it gets really fucking awesome in its world building. Like there's an entire book where Poppy, Mia, and what's the horse's name? Whatever her name is, Erica, not Erica, something like that. All their mothers appear, and they have like their own chapters and stories.
I think it's just like Centauria or something really obvious.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. It is Centauria. They actually go into
what is the centaur's name?
Rituals. The centaur. Oh, okay.
That's the joke. It's like I wonder what she's called, but it's like the most obvious name.
But yeah, they go into like all the different breeding habits of the different monster girls, and it's like it's not just like sex; it's like really interesting.
I actually really liked Ishizoku reviewers. Like the fucking they trolled so hard with the reptiles laying eggs scene. Like it was like they did a hard bait where it's like, oh, you get to see the bird like the laying eggs, ooh, but it's actually just like disgusting alligator girls. That it's just like that was so good. Like I love that. That like Ishizoku reviews is like really good for like what it did. It was like very
so fucking great.
I think it's fun that it exists.
I liked the show. Like that was like it did a lot of interesting stuff. I burped off, but it did a lot of interesting stuff. Like definitely good show. I'm glad somebody trolled like and made it like 9 on Mal for a while, where they like that YouTuber had 1 million people voted up. Otherwise, I would have never discovered it. I just noticed it was super high rated and watched it, but I actually liked it. So
apparently, it was like number 2 on my anime list.
Yeah, I mean, it was because somebody flooded it with votes as a joke, but even so, like it wasn't that good. But even after they rebalanced the voting, it's still pretty relatively decently rated. And I liked the show. Like I'm glad I got introduced to it by that troll because it was. I'm glad I watched it.
Shame on them for canceling the dub. I wanted that.
I mean. The dub, whatever. You have to watch it uncensored though, because having it censored, it's like they don't shy away from like the subject material, but like it's just distracting. Seeing like these giant like faces covering all the tits and stuff, it's like it's like it would be fine if it was smaller. Like I don't care that you want to censor the tits, just don't make it so fucking big.
Don't cover half the screen, damn.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, there's times where they do cover the entire screen. No, there are times where they just black out. Like they just say, for your viewing pleasure or something, we blacked out this scene so you can't watch it. And it's like, what?
This is what I'm here for.
Was it the reviewers? Or are you talking about
was it the hyena scene that got it like bans? Was that the one where they decided not to do it?
Well, didn't they have like different censorship and like different? So like different parts are censored in different countries or some shit because Japan was being weird.
Probably. I know that like different Japanese TV providers were banning it. And I'm guessing,
but you can find a few of the uncensored episodes on nia.si. So that's where I got them.
We're just like sponsoring now, you know, like everybody go.
And we'll continue to do so until Crunchyroll contacts us with a big fat check.
All right. Anybody else got some interesting content they're gonna watch this week?
Well, I suppose I have homework to do, and I'm gonna go watch Marathon Wakfu and get caught up.
Let's go.
Because we got to do that episode like maybe in like 3 or 4 weeks, I think.
Soon. I'm down.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that soon.
Hopefully, I'll be caught up by next week. So.
I would thoroughly encourage any of you guys who want to like watch even a little bit of it along with us. If you want to get context. No, Wakfu.
Oh, okay.
Even if you just stop with like 6 or 7 episodes in, just to be like, oh, I have a rough idea of what's going on, like just the general art style and kind of know the names of the important characters. But yeah, I'm probably gonna start doing that and get ready for that.
But it's not anime. Wow.
It's
French anime.
cartoon. It's Flash animation. French cartoon.
Yes.
Yeah,
If you
I don't
like,
get it.
honestly, it's like the best looking Flash show
Flash is
ever.
dead. They stopped supporting it in 2020 on like most browsers. Okay.
It's true. Gosh.
All right. Well, if nobody really has anything else, I think it's come to a close of this peaceful time.
We've only been recording for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you're
And
still
so-
here listening, thank
Yeah.
you for your patience.
Leave a comment. The two people
Please,
that make it this
Please
Yeah,
comment.
please.
Has it-
We need more engagement.
We will read it. We will read it.
far. We could even put like a Discord link in if you want to watch Walk Fu at a scheduled time. Who knows?
Maybe.
Hmm.
Who
But
knows?
that's all from me at the very least. I don't know if anybody else wants to have anything else to say, but I do have to get going here a little soon. So thank you all very much for sharing.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you all for
Okay.
listening.
Have
Goodbye,
a
everybody.
Good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.